I think that TL team will still be very good. I think it will be, two very good teams. And honestly, if I think there's a couple of teams that if they just make one or two changes, they could be very good and maybe not be in like the same tier as C9 and TL, but be very close, be competitive, be like an Origin, if you will, to Cloud9 and TL's Fnatic and G2.
I'm just saying, when MSI, if it does happen, not saying it will, because I don't think it will, but if it does happen, just expect the LCS to not even make bracket stage.
Whoa.
Dude,
we're that bad, guys. We're that bad.
I don't think so. Like, actual people like high-level analysts like Yamoto Cannon look at C9 and he seems to think that, yes, C9's good. Unfortunately, they don't get to have high-level practice against people in their same caliber very often, but he seems to think that C9 would probably be probably third, maybe fourth, if they're in EU, saying, well, he's saying, well, Fnatic and G2 are probably better, but they're
if C9's finishing third or fourth in EU, you're not going to make it very far in MSI.
What are you talking about? Like, Fnatic's a really good team, dude. So is G2. G2 just made it to finals, to World's Finals last year.
Oh, that's fine, but
and Fnatic looks better than
fourth,
that team.
Like, he's even saying fourth place. Like, he's not even saying like, oh, they'll look definite third. Like, he even drops off hard after those two teams. Even G2 this season has been playing pretty.
Not really. Like, dude, they had 4 or 5 teams with very close records at the top for the majority of their split.
All right. Hello, guys. LOL Podcast Season 2, Episode 14. We finally got to 14 episodes after I had to retcon the other season, which is still here, because I've explained what a retcon is, and if you don't read comic books, you're not going to know, but basically just look up what the word retcon means. Basically, New 52, rebirth. You guys understand.
We went back and changed shit because we didn't like it.
Wait a minute. Now you're just throwing shade. But we've had an action-packed LCS split so far, and I wanted to ask you guys, what are your thoughts about the playoffs so far? Not like the actual matches yet. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'm talking about the actual playoffs, like the winners and losers bracket. How do you guys enjoy them?
I guess I'll start. I actually rather like it. For teams like 100 Thieves, they got actually a really raw deal being the third seed and having to play C9, because obviously C9 gets to pick their opponent. But we get to see a better series for C9, or against C9, hypothetically anyway. C9 absolutely smashed that, but we get to see a better series in the first round with our best team. And then, even though that the team they beat lost a best of 5 in the playoffs, they still get to go and try to make a run to get back there. And I think that's great for viewers, and it's great for the teams, because it means those teams get high-level practice in a best of 5 series. I really like it so far.
I agree. I actually haven't noticed anything different. Like some people said that having a losers bracket kind of means the first few rounds don't matter, but I still thought of the playoffs as just hyped in general.
Mm-hmm.
I had fun just watching playoff matches, and because playoffs is having 5 games compared to 1. I like seeing different strategies in draft. I like seeing a best of 5. Best of 5s are where you can see what a good team actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, but
let me take you to a world.
That's a world
called the previous playoff system, which, believe it or not, we would not have had a 3-0 and 3-1 series to start the playoffs between C9 and 100 Thieves and Evil Genius and FlyQuest. No, you would have got that best of 5 with TSM and 100 Thieves off the bat. Then, with a TSM win, you might have saw TSM versus Cloud9. Something that probably would have been more competitive and than what you saw with 100 Thieves versus C9. I mean, did anybody really enjoy watching a 3-0 stomp like that?
I did. I'm a C9 fan, though.
So
The third game was actually pretty good though. 100 Thieves worked pretty hard on that very last game versus C9. So that wasn't too bad. That took them a while.
Yeah. They showed improvement over the course of their 3 games. Obviously, it wasn't good enough by the end, but I actually feel like that first series versus C9 like leveled them up when they went to go face TSM, which is I think is why they went 5 games.
Yeah, like that's what I was predicting. So when I saw that 100 Thieves had the ability and FlyQuest had the ability to train up versus C9 and TSM, EG, when they then played against Golden Guardians were completely out of the loop because FlyQuest learned how they play properly. They learned that you gotta play solo top lane.
They were the higher seeding Golden Guardians with a 6 seed with a horrible record all season.
Yeah, but it'd be no contest. Like, so my predictions, the way that it stands right now, is exactly what I predicted. Like, it's pretty easy to see how the LCS teams perform.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you there. But my point is, people are talking about how much they like those round games with like some of these best of 5 series, and it's like you would have still got them with the old setup. You just wouldn't have had the garbage first series out in the first game. Now, my second point. This is what I hate most about the whole double elimination playoff system is you're going to have FlyQuest versus Evil Geniuses again, right? Let's say FlyQuest wins 3-2 against EG. So you're saying that in head-to-head series, they're both 1-1. Evil Geniuses actually won more games than FlyQuest, but because FlyQuest won their second matchup, they get to move on.
Mm-hmm.
That there is a very non-competitive argument, and the reason why double elimination just doesn't make sense or work because you're punishing EG for losing to a better team earlier on the bracket.
Yeah, it gets worse. It gets worse though. Wait, it gets worse though.
Now,
correct me if I'm wrong, but in the finals, whoever gets to verse C9. If they win that best of 5 series, are they the grand champions? So if Evil Genius or FlyQuest, yeah. So that makes it worse. Yeah, because normally you have a loser-winner bracket, don't you? And then if the winner bracket in the winners final, at the very, very grand final, if he's undefeated, he gets another best of 5 because he's never dropped a game. Exactly what you're saying. It's a bit weird, but
it is a bit weird. But here's the thing: I take issue with the part of they're being punished. They both came from the winners bracket, and they both lost. So like EG getting another chance to beat a team they've already beaten is already a gift to them in and of itself. Like. It's not even that. So
instead of EG finishing second, they now have to fight and hopefully not finish third.
Well, no, because the top bracket's shorter. They would have had to play more games against other teams in the top bracket.
No, they were second seed, so what would have happened is they would have got a bye to the second round, won their first series in the final.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. This is. In my opinion, it's making our teams better, A, because they get to have more high-level competition, and B, let's not pretend like a loser's bracket is a unique thing to League of Legends playoffs. Plenty of other esports have losers brackets playoff structures or tournament structures, which I have no issue with. Sometimes people can have off games or an off day, and getting a high enough seed to get a second chance, I think, is good. Also, we get more games. I don't see an issue with getting more games. If you don't think the first round is worth watching, then just don't watch it.
People do that.
Okay, so my thing about it is it's a double-edged sword because I like having more games. But to be fair, I understand what they're saying by what they mean is the first few rounds kind of don't matter because you do get a second chance. But just the aura of playoffs kind of, should subside for that is what Riot is probably thinking. They're like, okay, well, we'll give them more games, but the first games don't matter as much. But it's playoffs, so obviously it's going to have this level of stigma to it where it's obviously something there that breeds in that, okay, if you lose right now, you have one more shot or you're out.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I understand that. I just personally like it.
I think I think it's really, really helpful for LCS because it's a unique format for EU and NA because they don't have best of fives, only LCK and LPL. So I think it's the only way that they're actually able to take a esport which is not that popular compared to LCK and LPL to the West, and also make it sort of viewable and make it a tournament where you can also have best of fives, because the biggest problem with the NA and EU is they don't have enough best of five series. So this is going to help improve them, which is good, but the actual, technically, if you're a fan of any one of these teams, so if you're a C9 fan, and they lose one set, the very grand final, then you'll say, that's bullshit, that's unfair. Or if you're another fan of another team, it's like, well, that's not fair, because technically speaking, they never dropped a game, so they just slipped in. Like, just imagine if somehow that happened where it was like a competitive, like Summer is going to come up, right? So Team Liquid, what if they somehow turn into a team all of a sudden and slip into the finals in this exact same format and they beat C9? It'd be like, that's kind of lame. Team Liquid got pretty lucky on that grand final and then they win. So technically speaking, you'd be a little bit bitter because of that, but it does bring a lot more best of fives to improve the performance of NA. So it's a pretty, the con of it being unfair is money, isn't it? You win money from winning. It's a pretty big deal. You get an MSI. I don't know. I think it's best if the winner of the grand final, if you're C9 undefeated and you lose that first, then you have a rematch for the real championship.
I would probably agree with that. Yeah. That's my big issue. I hear from people saying about this format that this is going to give us the best teams, but like in both scenarios, we're like, if like EG and FlyQuest both like play a close 3-2, are you going to look at it and be like, if FlyQuest wins, like, oh boy, they're easily better than Evil Geniuses? Or are you going to be like, well, that was a close series, and yeah, FlyQuest won that one, but the first time EG kind of spanked them. Even vice versa. Let's say EG spanks FlyQuest, go against Cloud9, and they win a close 3-2 series. You're going to be like, well, that's cool. They're champions. They beat C9, but like, I also watched C9 spank them just the last weekend, and it's like, why is it that the second matchup is the only one that really matters?
I can see where you're going with that. I would kind of like to see if we could tweak it in some way. Like, all right, so in Smash Ultimate, they have a losers bracket system, but when if the losers bracket gets to the finals against the winners bracket winner, they have to win 2 sets to actually win. So they have to win the first one to essentially bring it to a match point, and then when the winners bracket gets to, if they just win the first set, they just win. I think trying to somehow implement something like that, obviously that'd be a lot of games, and I'm not sure they'd be able to do that. But
that's what they're doing right now. That's what it is, basically. But that's what I was saying. Like, you have to do a rematch of the grand final, is what I'm saying. The same thing you're talking about. You'd have to have the grand final with C9 versus the loser, and if C9 drops that game, they get to rematch the whole best of 5. That's the only way to make the grand final and the actual winner to be fair.
Right. Or you could even maybe have it, maybe you give C9 a game in the series. Like, yeah.
The only reason why, like, that's an idea that they've used in the past, but the only reason why I don't think that might happen is just because, coming from somebody who's running events and stuff who done that in my past, like, you don't want to give them a game and then watch them win 2 games in like 20 minutes and then be like, cool, we just had this cool finals event and it's literally over in an hour. People just paid $100 for a ticket. Time to go home.
Yeah.
Maybe they can pick the side. How about that? They can pick every single game. They get to pick red or blue, but it's not exactly a huge advantage. But that's what I think of.
I mean, for a team like C9, that actually is a huge advantage. Like,
I think any team is.
I mean, you get to give Niski counterpick, or you get to give Blabber his his first pick of any jungler he wants, or
Yeah, but you gotta think
whatever.
of it
That's
of even teams, not C9, because they stomp everyone. So it's more like, imagine FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians, and they get the bigger side. Is it gonna matter? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. If FlyQuest gets counterpick for PoE, he's probably the second best mid laner in North America, who looks really good right now, by the way. That is huge. Like, you get to give Power of Evil counterpick versus Golden Glue. That's a huge leg up in the drafting. And at least that's my opinion.
It's really hard to say though, because I understand what you were saying though about the Smash thing. Because people don't know, I actually do play Smash, and when you do have the losers bracket, they have to fight again for the second chance. And that's what I was thinking too. Is like C9, let's say if they lose, which is most likely probably not gonna happen, but if they do, you kind of would have wanted them to get a second chance like everybody else did.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think it's perfect, but I do feel like this is more a step in the right direction as far as a more ideal playoff format. Because you know what I also don't like as a viewer of LCS?
Which is?
Not getting to watch the best teams in every rounds of the playoffs.
I mean, but that's gonna happen in general. Like, football, basketball, that happens too. Like, it's never gonna be like you're gonna see the exact best teams, because best in like sports and esports is subjective depending on the time period. Like, we literally called EG trash for 7 weeks of the split, but now they kind of look a lot better. You see my point there? It just depends on what time of the month or week we're playing, because people thought FlyQuest was shit. Now FlyQuest is looked at like the third best team. Obviously, we're not gonna think that. Maybe you do, but
I can't think that they're gonna get third.
Well, I think they're about to beat EG.
Did you watch the series last weekend? Did you not see TSM try so hard to throw every game? And FlyQuest got the way to throw.
I saw TSM being pigeonholed into one specific style of winning the game, and it was always early game top focused snowballing. And when that didn't work, or they couldn't get a good enough goal lead or get enough objectives or push the game enough, FlyQuest would come back and win because they had the better scaling comp.
That's just TSM can't play late game because they throw.
Let's take it to TSM then. So, guys, TSM, this split, before we get to the FlyQuest series, TSM started this split off wanting a change. Last year, they didn't make Worlds. They came in. They're like, we're going to keep Broken Blade. We're going to keep Bjergsen. They brought in Darduck, a player that everybody wanted to always have on TSM. They bring in Kabe from Splice. They get Biofrost back from CLG. They finish 99 on the split. They're the only team to beat C9 in the regular season. They face 100 Thieves. Realistically, so let's start there. What did you guys think about the 100 Thieves versus TSM series? Just that one starting.
I thought it was an incredibly entertaining series. It was back and forth with plays during the whole thing. It's Ryoma really stepped up. I call it out on this podcast. I thought Ryoma was going to get shit stomped and it was going to be a 3-0 for TSM, but he actually stepped up and managed to hold his own. And that alone made it a really compelling series. I was incredibly entertained by the whole thing.
I think he did get outclassed at some points during the series, but it was nice to have him not play like shit half the time.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. He held his own. I didn't say he went toe to toe. I meant he Rocky Balboa and win 11 rounds, but he still lost.
I remember if Bjergsen has to expect backdoor to win a game. Oh my god, man! Know at that point, if Bjergsen's doing plays like that, he knows his team is not doing well, and he has to carry them.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you're talking about 100 Thieves or FlyQuest?
Yeah, 100 Thieves versus
100
TSM.
Thieves.
What did you think about that first?
I think TSM were fairly robbed on that one. 100 Thieves played really well, and what I like about the new format is that if you look at it from a perspective of competition, you're actually seeing teams become better and better and better. So as they go along, you see 100 Thieves go from C9 into TSM, and they nearly beat TSM. And 100 Thieves actually fixed so many problems It's not even funny. So, Stunt, for example, who was like a complete write-off of an Engage champion, he's just absolutely garbage. They did so much work on Stunt, and he actually looked like a really, really good support. Like, he played better against 100 Thieves versus TSM. Stunt did better engages than Igna versus TSM. I was really, really impressed with how much they've worked behind the scenes to improve 100 Thieves. And that last game when they lost, that could have gone either way. But I thought the 100 Thieves were going to win that last game.
I'll be honest with you,
But,
I thought they were
it's
going to
really
win
tough.
too.
Yeah, they looked better, and TSM are always all over the place. But as you see the games going on, 100 Thieves are becoming more consistent. They're rising to the occasion and bringing a good form of League of Legends. And it's good to see from a competitive standing to see the teams improving.
I don't think we would have got that without the first round of the winners bracket.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like, C9 exposed all of 100 Thieves' problems to 100 Thieves in a very visceral and very noticeable way.
Really?
It's like, well, I mean, like, yeah, they knew they had problems, but like, when you get beat that badly in that many ways, like, when
let
me put it this way: if you just notice that there's some moisture in your ceiling, right?
Oh, God.
And you're like, oh, there's a leak somewhere, but you're not sure where it is. It can be difficult to fix. But if you walk outside and see a giant hole in your roof, you go, oh, well, there's my problem. That's the area I gotta fix. Better go do it. I don't know if that really makes sense to you guys, but
it's time to bring everybody back down to reality here. What TSM versus 100T is literally what you get in Clash every weekend. You let 5 random people who look like they've never played with each other before on 2 teams, and it just so happens instead of it being a best of 1, it was a best of 5. Like, you can't tell me 100T looked great when freaking Someday and Meteos are running around with their heads chopped off the whole entire series. Like, that series became who's going to throw harder, Dardoch or Meteos. There were times where, like, 100T would get, like, two kills on, like, TSM, have an objective coming up, and then either Meteos and Someday are getting caught, like, next to TSM's base with nobody around them, thus losing a Baron or a Dragon or an Elder Drake. Like, stop praising 100T as if they were playing well. They were playing dog shit. They were the higher seed coming in, and it showed that they are horrible.
Well, they played better compared to how they've been playing all season. That's the best League of Legends they've played.
That's the Legends they played.
Are you sure?
At the end of the season.
I saw some very good play from Cody-san. Cody-san actually legitimately carried a lot of team fights on his back, and I thought that was a good player playing League of Legends
he's the Smurf in Clash. He's the Smurf carrying the other 2 people.
And
but the problem is that
Someday didn't play poorly either.
Someday played extremely poorly.
He didn't play as good as he should have, but it's inconsistent with the criticism because Cody-san has been playing average and so has Stunt. But in those games, they've been playing better. Sunday's been carrying the team, but then in that one, he was dropping it. And then Meteos, who's sometimes good, sometimes bad, he wasn't playing that good either. But as a team, they're actually bringing themselves together to look like a team, and actually other people are bringing... Like, you can't say Cody-san's smurfing when he hasn't been like standing out that much all season.
But my point was, both teams looked like complete dog poop that didn't have any synergy at all with each other. They were consistently having players get caught. They had people losing objectives. Like, if 100 teams play with any type of synergy, they win that series 3-1. But they consistently got caught around objectives and lost mid-late games. They made TSM into a late-game team, which we all know is pretty hard to do.
Well, the only reason why they were in it was because 100 Thieves showed synergy. Because if they played individuals, they would never be able to beat TSM because TSM are better in lane. So the only way that 100 Thieves are actually able to bring any form of competition whatsoever, apart from like Sunday carrying every single game, which he usually does, and this one he was like inting a lot, is that they had to have synergy as a team to actually be competitive. I'm not saying it's the greatest League of Legends, Right, I'm saying in terms of the LCS, in terms of 100 Thieves, in terms of TSM, that's a really good performance by 100 Thieves to actually go that far versus TSM. Because if we want to talk about actual reality, LCS is...
Oh, we're not talking about reality. That's okay. Yeah, that's what I'm basing my opinion in reality. Like, it's garbage.
Yeah, it is garbage. I mean, the only team that's competent is C9, and they're just playing on like an average level because they haven't been challenged by like the best teams to be mixing it up. Because when you see MSI, it's going to be completely different. But if we go down to reality, yeah, the total garbage. But in terms of their progression, it's nice.
So a couple things. I would like to point out that I was saying before. TSM was deliberately targeting top lane because it's pretty clear that their entire strategy for their entire team every game is to play through top lane, and as such, they give Broken Blade a lot of attention. So I feel like a lot of times when Someday was inting, it was just he has more opportunities to get pounced on because of how often they were trying to force plays up there. But as far as C9 just playing average and the rest of the region just being dog shit, like, here's the thing, when you watch C9, I don't feel it's fair to say they're just average because they don't really make macro mistakes. They're a very knowledgeable team and know what they're doing and are very good at executing it.
Well, his point.
If you want to say that they have there's a mechanical gap between them and some of the better Korean teams or some of the better Chinese teams, or even the top EU teams, that's fine. That's a point you can make, but I don't know. I feel like as a team, no, they are very good as far as having a game plan, executing their game plan, and not making mistakes.
Well, his point.
That's all I wanted to say on that.
His point was.
I understand. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. FlyQuest versus GG. There's nothing in that series to talk about. Holy shit!
No. GG was very much the odd man out in this playoffs. They really shouldn't have been here.
They had like the weakest mid laner. They had the weakest bot lane.
They didn't have Immortals mid laner.
He made the playoffs.
Yeah.
I was pointing out they had the second worst mid laner in the LCS.
Like, just imagine going into the playoffs with the weakest bot lane and like the weakest mid laner. Like some of the strongest positions you need to play from in playoffs. That's absolutely crazy.
The third game though, Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest. Once again, Golden Guardians played the best that they did on the very last game. So it's the same case for all the best of threes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually agree.
There's only one thing Golden Guardians is actually good at, and it's not even their players really. It's their coach is actually very good at drafting. I feel.
Isn't it Raz?
They very rarely actually lose drafts, which I think is the reason why you see all the Golden Guardians games through the season. It's if they're up, they generally win because their team comp is very solid, and it's a very simple game plan. And if they're behind, well, they didn't execute on the drafts that they probably won, so they just lose.
Yeah, you're right. It sucks though because they don't have the players to compete, and then their drafts are fine.
I'll disagree a little bit. They have one player that can compete.
Yeah,
and that's Closer.
Oh yeah, Closer.
Closer and Hanser, I'll say.
Hanser is a decent player. Yeah.
They had FBI and Keith, and they were going fairly well as a synergy until they decided to split them up. So that was a bit strange because they were going well.
Yeah, we talked about that. They were looking promising, but the problem is that they were looking promising, but they at no point. I don't think any other players besides Closer at any point in the season approached like top 3 in their position in the league at any point.
FBI and Keith are the only ones to actually show aggression and initiative in bot lane and actually kill Team Liquid 2v2. So, maybe apart from C9, like they actually were wanting to play instead of being passive and boring and lame and dying because you walk into a bush, they're wanting to set up plays in a 2v2 to outplay. I don't see many other people in the whole competition try that hard to set up 2v2s and be competitive.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. I'm not saying you're wrong about that point. I just, even giving their aggression and those clever players that you just gave an example of they're making, I just don't feel like those players were better than the top 3 AD carries you would consider in the league. That's all I'm saying. FBI probably approached it at certain points, maybe 4 or 5. I just don't think he was ever good enough to actually be like a player you can point to as he will carry our team. This is the guy we're gonna stake our game plan around. You know what I mean?
Okay, so right now, 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians are out along with TSM, and we'll go to TSM in just a moment. So, any, parting thoughts on Golden Guardians? We'll start with them first. That they had their season end at, 6th place? You know, we even said they were going to finish maybe, 9th or 10th. So, is there anything you guys want to say as per Golden Guardians' swift exit out of the season?
You know what? They made strides. They overperformed. That's great, but they should pray for coronavirus to go away so they can sign and import in the mid lane, or
they can't do that.
The top. Why? Oh wait,
they have 2 imports already in FBI and Closer.
Oh,
right. Closer's an import.
Yeah.
Then sign a free agent North American AD carry and import somebody you can build around. Sign and import mid laner, because you have Closer, who's a very good jungler, and the most important thing to a good team in League of Legends right now is the mid jungle 2v2. And if you just look at all the teams that are left, EG, C9, and FlyQuest, what do they all have in common? They all have very strong mid-jungle 2v2s.
Yep, I agree. Otego?
So,
Con?
So, I think Golden Guardians should, one, thank their gods at the LCS for some reason are letting 8 teams into the playoffs in summer. Right. So, probably mean they get another playoff attempt. I half agree with what Ravioli says. I definitely think, FPIs look decent, but to get an import slot, has to be the one you replace with an NA talent. And then, instead of going mid lane, I would actually like to see him get a support, and that's just because their support situation is all over the place. And I've never been a fan of Huhi being a support, and I don't see them going back to Keith. And even though mid lane definitely is super important, and I think Golden Glue is somebody who could get replaced, I would much rather get the support fixed up as well, because I also look at the best teams in the LCS right now, and just like you point out mid jungle, I also would point out jungle support, whether it be Vulcan and Blabber. Vulcan's a big MVP candidate. You have Spencer Scammon and Zazel, who've been together for the last 2 or 3 years, who've obviously came on pretty strong. And you have Ignore and Santorin. And Ignore is probably the only other non-C9 player, not named Jizuki, that has a chance at the LCS MVP thing. So I would honestly rather get a support than mid. But I also I half agree with you. That's what I mean. I don't think either way is wrong, but I would go support.
I just got DC'd there for a second.
Because you're bathing in ravioli again?
Oh, dude, just fuck! I got a swimming pool and filled it up, dude. It's quite pleasant. I sort of see what you mean by the support, but here's the thing: I feel like it's easier to get a good support out of North America than it is to get a top-level mid laner.
Pick up Matt. Just kidding, guys. No, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not being serious. Don't pick up Matt.
Here's an idea. Somehow get Tactical away from TL, pay TL a bunch of money,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could work.
That would work.
That would work. I agree.
That
with
could work. You could probably there's plenty of people in Academy. Look at the Academy system. Try to get the best support from Academy. See how that rolls, and then, like I said, you go ahead and try to sign a mid laner because it's the strongest position. I legitimately believe, with all my heart, that if you want to be a really good League of Legends team in the year of our Lord 2020, you need to have a good mid jungle duo. That's just what I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to for sure. But for me, about Golden Guardians, before I talk about exporting or like changing players around, I'll just wonder why on earth in best of ones, which are very hit and miss all the time, why you would have success in an aggressive bot lane FBI Keith, who in multiple games looking to be competitive, and unlike other teams, which are a complete mess when there is pressure applied to them, or a team fight, or a 2v2 situation, they're actually holding their own and wanting to fight, like Zyra Khan or Misfortune and Thresh. Why on earth you would throw out one of the key ingredients to your team, which has given you so much momentum and even a win condition, why you would throw that out? So I'll just question what they're thinking, because best of ones are hit and miss. It's just the way that it is. That's why you have best of fives all around the world, or best of three, or sets of threes. I don't know why they're messing with it. Like, you need time for people to grow together. You need to like a lot of time for like a bot lane, which is new, FBI keys to mix with closer. So I don't agree with them swapping players out like a revolving door. Probably the only success in a revolving door strategy has been solo swapping for Viper, which is that top lane is more solo focused anyway on your performance. That one's had the biggest, huge effect on FlyQuest, but in terms of bot lane, it takes a lot of time, so I wouldn't look at swapping people until you really test that bot lane and duo or find out something insanely unfixable. But everything can be fixed with good coaching. So
right.
Before I go trading people, I'd be looking at why you're actually getting rid of these people when they look quite good as a duo.
I'd like to throw out the point that I think I agree with you 100%. I don't think they should have switched it at all in the first place, like you said. But at the point we are at right now, I feel like right now one of your import slots is an AD carry, and in my opinion, at least, I think AD carry is the weakest position in League of Legends right now. I think it's not the weakest. It's the least important from a team perspective. I just feel like. All right, so how would you rank the positions? Because from most to least important, I would go mid jungle support, top AD carry.
Yeah, that's somewhere I would align it up with. So 100 Thieves, they're out. Ravioli, what do you think about 100 Thieves exit to the season?
You know what? Better than expected. This was a developmental season for them. Papa Smithy said as much. He wanted to basically use this split as an opportunity to improve their team and to develop them, and they ended up going to the third seed in the playoffs and then taking TSM, albeit TSM is not the TSM of old, but it is still a legacy organization who had aspirations to win the split, and you took them to 5 games with a roster that wasn't supposed to win. So I feel like they can come out of the season with a bit of hope for next split. If Ryoma can build upon his experience and his improvement from amazingly one round of the playoffs to the next and become a decent, even to maybe slightly above average mid laner, I think they could do some damage.
Colin, what do you think about 100 Thieves exiting the season?
it is like bittersweet because I get what some people are saying, like, oh, they went well against CSM, all that stuff, but like, I look at how they ended the regular split, and they ended it with like beating FlyQuest, beating TSM in Best of One, beating TSM in tiebreaker, like eventually losing to EG in a tiebreaker. But for me, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm so happy to see where Ioma has progressed. He's actually looked very good. He looks like he has a potential, just like Closer does. Cody Sun's getting synergy and getting on board with Stunt. That's nice. But, like, I would try and figure out what in the hell is going on with Meteos and Someday. And Someday looked good during the regular season, so I'm not too worried. But, like, Meteos looks like a liability. And if the fall split, if like the summer split, you're still considering like this a full developmental year, I might strongly considering trying to bring in like an academy jungler to, you know, if you're still aren't committed to that developmental mode, to try and set something up that can go long term, because I don't think Meteos is a long term solution for 100T. I would take a chance on replacing that, because I mean, like, we can say that, oh man, they lost to TSM, but this is like this was the third seeded team coming out of LCS in the regular season, who are beating some of the top teams in the LCS. For them to kind of go out the way they did, that was kind of disappointing for me. And how they looked against CSM, like I thought they were going to win that series a lot easier, because I didn't have much faith in TSM, and TSM didn't show me anything to give them any faith afterwards. It was like, wow. 100T like regressed from where they were in the final week pretty hard. They went from being the 100T that looked like a third seed that can compete a little bit with EG and maybe even a little bit with C9 a little bit, to like, man, they're like the 5th best team or 6th best team in the LCS, which is like something you shouldn't say about the team that just ended strong and finished third.
I would like to point out that, yeah, they were the 3rd seed, but they were playing TSM, who was the 5th seed, but they were only one game worse than 100 Thieves. Like, for all the teams they beat in the last 2 weeks, were basically flip-flopping them for position all season. Like, everyone was in the soup, as they called it. And I felt like most of those teams were relatively evenly matched, and I think that's what we saw in the playoffs.
Otego, what do you think about 100 Thieves ending the season?
Yeah, so if we talk about reality here, because Con wants to hear reality. The reality is that 100 Thieves were playing, and I rated them throughout all the start. I'd give them a 2 out of 10. So the way I rate it is 5 out of 10 is you can play League of Legends, but you can play every area, but it's just pretty average. So you're able to play the game without killing yourself. A lot of teams in the LCS, they can't even match 5 out of 10. So C9 is like a 6. It's tough to say how much they actually are for C9, because you don't get to see them challenged in all the different variety of playstyles, so you can't see how truly good they are. So I give like C9 about a 6+, and for 100 Thieves, they were running on like a 2 out of 10. They couldn't even figure out one basic engage. They were so bad it wasn't even funny. You probably give them a 1, because it's probably the worst League of Legends you could ever watch. But as they came along versus TSM, they were hitting like about a 4 out of 10, and they were looking like they had determination. They were losing early game versus TSM, but they were staying composed, and they knew that the game was longer than the first 15 minutes, and they stuck it out, and they were getting wins, and they showed great character to take themselves a complete mess, a complete garbage mess, and then you start to see a team in front of you, and it's like, wow, that's actually looks like a team. Like, it's not a 5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10, but wow, that actually started to look like a team. So I think 100 Thieves will look pretty hot in the summer. In the first few games, they'll look really, really determined to take what they learnt, and maybe you'll see them pushing the boundaries and maybe get a 5 out of 10 or a 5+, and who knows, but they're going to have to work really hard and learn from what they've got.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. All right, so now we are
Man,
on
man,
men.
man. Just Joe. We're in a podcast with a bunch of C9 deniers right now.
But Con, that brings me up to C9. I never got a chance to ask you because you were busy that week. When TL got knocked out, how did you feel?
I still think they should fire Kane.
Oh, fuck.
No, I bring this back to, like, even, like, look at parts of last season. Kane is the type of coach that doesn't draft or doesn't pick around his players. He picks what he thinks should be good. Mm-hmm. And that's an okay philosophy, but I also think as a coach you have to know your team and your players' strengths and your players' weaknesses. And even when you look back at, like, there's some other best of fives, like the best of five against TSM last spring. Like, they went down 0-2, and it took, like, Double of saying, like, dude, just draft me a winning matchup and we can actually carry the series to win the game, for them to actually turn around and do that type of stuff. And, like, I look at this season, it's like, they played 4 games on Senna, and 2 of those were after not just your player publicly said he didn't like it, but the analyst desk gave an actual, like, breakdown and argument why it's not a good pick for TL. Like, there's so many times that I just think that, looking back, like, Kane does not build his team comps around what his team does well. He builds his team comps around what he thinks is going to get easy wins or what's OP in the meta. And I'm not saying the players should get, like, passes for that. They shouldn't, because but at the end of the day, like, I just look through the whole entire last few years. It's like, how much of TL doing well was because they just had the best players, or was it, like, I just think it's a huge coaching issue. Like, you got to week 10, there was next to no coordination, like simple things like objective control. They were losing both Heralds and Dragons early on. As a coach, you should easily be able to make a game plan that just says, commit to one of these things no matter what. Mm-hmm. I don't care which one it is, commit to one of them because we can't lose both.
Yeah, I've always hated the draft. I always despised it. I thought their draft has just been, like, about 5 years too late. It just looks awful. It makes no sense. It doesn't look like they got any fire in them. Like, when we talk about Dragons and Heralds, one of those situations versus C9, double lift on Senna is bot lane, and C9 step out of vision, then map out to go for Herald. And it's Senna Thresh for double lift and core JJ. Thresh maps out and he goes top, and then double lift just pops his head out and just keeps on farming bot. So, like, I guess we won't have the Senna to deal with. It's like, double lift just doesn't care. Like, I don't think maybe it could be the draft that's actually killing some of his drive. It's like, oh, I'm going to sleep on a Senna now. This is going to suck. This is boring. I can't carry. If that's his drive, like, we play through bot lane. So talk about before Revel, what you were saying about importance. Well, Double Lift says his entire team is based around bot lane ADC winning, and you see plays with Kalista Tarek. No, it was Ashe versus C9, and he just pops an arrow and gets a free kill. Like, he makes so many plays, and it's centered around Double Lift. And if you don't get that guy a champion, and if that's how it does, I don't know if that's how it actually works. Vic Smithy's gone, and the only person who really makes those calls is Double Lift. Why would you put him on a champion like Senna, or he doesn't like it? Just say to him, dude, whatever the hell you want, can you blow them up? What is it? He says, give me this, done, let's go. If that's the way your team works, that's the way your team works. You don't get to say anything about it. As a coach, you don't say, well, play this because I like it. It's like, no, you got to play how it works.
So I don't disagree with you on the drafting issue. But I will say, in his defense, that because at this time Senna was pretty broken. She was very, very, very good. And if you're on blue, if she's the top pick, let's just say she might not have been top, but say she was the number 1 pick ban, and you play a game on blue side and you have to ban the number 1 pick ban because your player refuses to learn it or to play it, then you're sort of screwing your team before the game even starts. Because that's supposed to be a ban on the red side. They're supposed to have to take that away from you. And you're just giving your team a massive handicap. At a certain point, when you're double lift, I'm sorry, you have to learn how to play Senna. Like, Senna can carry the game. We saw it in the regular season. She
has a pretty low win rate around the world. It's like 40% to 30%, so it's not necessarily just like she's this OP champ. She's actually a lot underperforming across the world. Much lower pick rate in places like China because they know that lane pressure and stuff is valuable instead of just...
Well, China also plays a very different game. Well, actually, no, they don't. We're NA and EU are more akin to China than someplace like Korea, but not all champs that have the 40 to 49% win rate are at that win rate just because of the champion skill. I feel like usually it comes down to, like we just said, coaches not knowing how to draft around that pick.
Yeah, well, with Senna, for example, like Core JJ and Double Up to played Sonoteric, right? Gone to Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they played it to the bone, that they knew every single matchup, every single counter matchup. They played it that much. I mean, I don't know how bored they were. They played it that much, which is just stupid. But if the players are losing motivation, I would wonder if I was in the coach's shoes and I just said to Double Lift and Call JJ, I want you to go out there and just blow them up, just kick the crap out of them, go nuts. And then they said, give us a Varus and a Thresh versus a Tom Kench Senna. Boom, done. And I just said to them, guys, just fucking destroy it. I don't care if you get ganked 3v2. I just want you guys to play like solo queue and go apeshit. If you saw Call JJ, Thresh, and a Varus going apeshit against a Senna Tom Kench, I don't think you would probably see the slow decline and backwards passive slow death that you see from Double of Core JJ and Team Liquid, who just stagnate into a swamp and do nothing and die. I think if you give them the tools and give them the fire and just say, I don't care, just go blow shit up, I think you might actually, revitalize a bit of a fire from Team Liquid.
Perhaps, but I don't think the motivation thing was ever about the champions they're picking. I mean, based on what Double Lift said, it was a, I guess, what we put it is champion fatigue. Like, not as in like a Champion League Legends, as in the league winners. Champion fatigue. Yeah, he just didn't care about the split itself. And I don't think picking him, like, say, giving him the Varus, because they did at certain points, they did give him the Varus. And
it's also so weird, though, because, I agree.
Like, the problem with TL goes so much deeper than just their pick bans, I feel. I feel like, as a team, they just had no cohesion, and that is a multitude issue. It is the Broxa thing.
I also put a lot of the cohesion issues as well as on the coach. The coach isn't giving them any clear directions and stuff. I'm a leader where I'm at work. Even if your team's all over the place, you have to give them a set of directions and give them something they have to follow. We were hearing that TL didn't even have like a main shot caller, which, while there is points of why you maybe don't want that, but when your team is struggling so much, you need at least something that you have to listen to and point you in the right direction. TL seemed like it was like the style of coaching was, well, everybody kind of gets their say. We're going to play what I think is best, and it's just going to come together. Where I think to be a good coach and you see it with Reaper, like, to be a good coach and a good leader, you have to set your team in a direction and give them something to play towards. It just felt like TL was like, I drafted you this comp, now go out and do what you need. Like, there was no game plans, there was no there was no simple executions of what you should see. It was just blah. And I put a lot of blame on that on the coach. Like, I think players, you do have blame, but as a leader and a coach, and like a coach should be the leader of the team. And I know esports, especially League and NA, that can be different, but Kane comes from Korea. He knows what Korean coaches and Korean systems are like. You need to be the leader of a team when they're struggling like that. You need to give them a clear direction, and it just felt like TL never had a clear direction.
Yeah, that's right. Like with Senna, I'm pretty sure Double F's opinion is when he gets Senna, he says, "Oh well, I'm going to sleep for 15 minutes." And if that's a guy who has actually a big impact in your team, who can start fights, like you give him an Ash, do you see the difference? He just even a recent game, Kalista, he just starts fights like really aggressively, which is rare. But I mean, lately he's waking up a bit. But that's what I mean. Like they're all dead, like they're just bored. But if you do play through the bot lane, if that's where a lot of the motivation comes through, because you don't have the Xmithie anymore, then if you give them an explosive bot lane and then call JJ and Doublelift are always on the front foot, aggressive and forward, then that's going to carry through your whole team and wake them all up a bit more. But if Doublelift is like, well, I'm going to sleep now because I got Senna, where's the match going to go? Inevitably, it's going to go backwards. It will go backwards, because then who's going to step up to the plate? No one. So you're going to have to find it somewhere. Someone's going to have to do it.
Well, someone did. That someone was Jensen. Jensen did step up. It just wasn't enough because his teammates around him weren't trying very hard. It didn't seem like.
Because of the picks. If they changed they could have helped.
I don't want to just put it all on the picks for a lack of player motivation. Like, that's sort of shifting the blame away from the person who's actually playing the game, the person who's actually supposed to be practicing their picks, and also are supposed to be giving insight and VOD reviews and scrims. Away from the person who's away from the person who's actually doing that. Like, there was no clear voice. Well, the players don't need a coach to say, all right, which one of us should we listen to for shot calling? You're all veterans. You're all paid lots of money to play this game. I understand how you can have a lack of motivation in your job.
The problem is that they were told that they can't have a shot caller. They were told everybody's a shot caller by the coach.
That cannot work. As most of you guys know from watching professional sports, that cannot work. There has to be a hierarchy.
I mean, didn't G2 do a very similar thing last year? But
overall, Perks is still like, the guy you have to run it through. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's like you guys. You know how I make up topics for a podcast and you guys, hey, can we throw that in? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I still have to say, hey, we can talk about this. It's basically their democracy, and, is that really a good thing for a team to have a democracy?
I think it's bad. If the team's struggling very, very bad, it's bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not an issue. The way we're talking about this is sort of, I feel like, yes, the pick bans were an issue, but I feel like we're approaching the point where we're scapegoating.
I mean, I brought the pick bans all the way back to last split in the final when they were losing to TSM horribly, and it took their star player be like, yo, wake the F up. Give me a winning matchup and we'll win this series. And they literally did what he said and they won the series.
That's what I've always seen Liquid do that as well. They always do weird, stupid shit like that when you could just give the players a different champion. They would play so much better. And this is a real problem, Ravioli, because if you have a coach which is driving you to the left, but all of your team doesn't work that way, then they will lose motivation. So if you're Doublelift and you're like veteran, whatever, semi-bored, okay, what's the one thing that's going to put that guy to sleep? Give him a center, and he'll go to sleep real quick. You don't have Xmithie anymore, so he had a really close bond with Xmithie, and it's a huge part of Team Liquid. Doublelift and Xmithie was like just a huge part of it, right? No more Xmithie. Now you give him a center on Doublelift. It's like, whoa, what the hell is this? You can't do that. It's like you don't understand your players to give them these champions.
I'll even reference this. Let's say if you were FPX and you told Doinby, you can't play Nautilus mid. You can't play Scion and Malphite mid. You're only allowed to play things like Victor, Orianna, LeBlanc. Would they have been world champions last year?
No, they wouldn't.
I mean, maybe, maybe not. We don't know that, but yeah, I understand what you guys are saying. Trust me, I do.
I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I don't think it's just on the coach. Like, yes, I agree. Those are contributing.
The players have blame. I just think that there's a repetitive pattern with TL that goes beyond just this season, where you can point to like other time periods where it's like, why is the coach doing these things? Like that almost cost him this back.
Yeah, that's right.
And for me, like again, I bring back that Jat like segment where he showed why Senna is probably a horrible pick for TL based on how they play the game. Like he broke it down there, like in the point where it's like, well, TL likes to play rotational topside, especially for Rift Herald, but with Senna, you just physically can't clear waves fast enough to go do that. You're lagging behind. When you start lagging behind in that tempo, your whole entire game as TL is now off, and you don't manage side waves correctly, and you do all these things. And like that one segment was like okay, this makes sense. It's not necessarily always just double lift. It's how this impacts their whole entire game plan. They were plugging Senna in as a champion to play bot as if it can be used the same way you have like a Aphelios, Varus, Ashe. And what ended up happening is after that he had this big segment on why TL should not play Senna because it doesn't fit their game plan. They then pick Senna the next two games and lose both.
Yeah, and I think that would have been fixed. That wouldn't have been a problem if Xmithie was a jungler, because he would have come along and he would have synergized with that at least, and made something of it instead of double lift going, I am so fucking bored, I'm going to sleep right now, and I can't do shit. And they don't have the Xmithie anymore, so it's like, you can even see what happens when they're actually all asleep, like versus 100 Thieves, when they lost, the jungler, what's his name, who got Shenfire. So he goes along for a gank mid, it was nice, and he is not aware that Thresh, stunt on Thresh, the enemy, is going for a roam. He walks straight into a Threshold and gets comboed out. They all assume that Shenfire should have known better, and no one's talking because they're all just dopey, they're all just like out of it. They're not awake at all. But if you had Xmithie, because you got such a huge problem, because Xmithie's gone now, and you can't just do that. The same type of things you've been doing with Xmithie, you can't do them again because it won't work. You have to really, really change it up, and someone has to step up and make those calls, be aggressive. I don't know, like, you could do it with mid lane, you could do it with bot lane. Somebody has to wake up and be like a shot caller or someone on the front foot, because it really exposed just how much they're reliant on Xmithie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Broxah can be that guy, but I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, you guys have a very good point for the coach. I don't know if firing the guy who just coached team to win 4 straight splits is correct, but maybe it is, because I don't know, because you can't get rid of any of those players, really.
Ravioli, do you need a hug?
No, I'm fine.
Whoa!
Honestly, do you want the honest truth? We've been talking about what's wrong with TL for 14 weeks now.
Honestly. Okay. So let's go to TSM, but we'll talk about the TSM versus FlyQuest series first. They're our next team to talk about since they are out. So what did you guys think about FlyQuest versus TSM?
I felt like that series was the coming out party for the new, basically the complete FlyQuest as far as what they could have been this season. I feel Solo is finally, the FlyQuest organization have realized is the right answer. No longer is top lane this huge, horrible position of weakness for them, and it actually allowed them to play much more robustly. Like, yeah, they had the mid-jungle 2v2, but, they were constantly getting smashed in top lane. And now with Solo, they don't have any glaring weaknesses, and they can actually play more to their strengths and not have to cover up for their for their deficiencies nearly as much. I think they got some really good players. I think PoE, Ignar, and judging just by these playoffs, at least this last round, I think Santorin is making a case that he might be a top 3 jungler right now in NA. I think they have those are very good positional players, and like I said, Solo is pretty good. He's pretty solid, and Wild Turtle is a prototypical weak side AD carry who's good at team fights, which is what you really want right now. And that showed in that series. That's why they won, because they're actually consistent, unlike TSM. Dardoch showed everybody that he is probably the weakest link on TSM, in my opinion, because his fall off after 20 minutes is I feel like they were playing around the fact the entire season that Dardoch can't play past 20 minutes, and that's been forcing them to go into these heavy snowball comps to win, because that's when they're most consistent, right? When they snowball the game early, play through top, and win the game by 25-30 minutes.
What do you two think?
And
I think this series is like the progression of what the 100T TSM series was. Instead of this being teams just playing Clash for the first time, it was teams playing Clash together for the second time. A little bit better, but still a pile of shit.
I mean,
You give a lot of credit to Clash teams, I think.
I mean, I'm just comparing it to the average person, what they feel like and do. You know, I honestly thought this series had some high points in some areas. I think PoE and Ignore did very well. Solo did show up against Broken Blade a little bit, but I also think, like, neither team looked good.
Oh, no, wait. You could be right. Sorry. You could be right, because Team Liquid in a team of 5 in solo queue lost in solo queue NA. Oh, I think you're right. Yep.
Oh, fuck. Shit. God.
Lose one solo queue game. Well, you guys aren't pros anymore.
they imagine all those guys were C9. They're like, fuck, we lost. Well, that sucks for us.
Because, like, a lot of Icy with FlyQuest was like, oh, cool, they hung on and got late game against TSM and won a lot of games late. And it's like, well, that's how you beat TSM, is you just make it to late game because they can't do shit late game most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, if they did the same thing against Evil Genius and Cloud9, they'd be like 0-3 because you lose early game and you lose game. So I wasn't all too impressed with FlyQuest. It was more of TSM finding ways to keep tripping over themselves.
Really? I'm just continue to be surprised. You weren't impressed with Power of Evil, that series? Because I thought he looked really good. I thought he played really well.
I said him and Ignore were definitely the standouts, but I think everything else was like, you throw it into a trash bin and hope to forget.
I mean, what did Wild Turtle do specifically that you thought he was awful?
Well, he didn't win lane versus Kabe and Biofrost.
He's definitely a weak point, too.
No.
I think he's definitely a weak point in lane, but outside of lane, he's, like, decent, you know?
Yeah, like we said, he's a weak side AD carry. Yeah, he didn't win lane, but he also didn't get horribly, horribly smashed in a straight-up 2v2. When he got killed, it was usually because they made a play bot lane.
The problem is when that happens against competent teams, you lose the game. They just so happen to not play against a competent team.
So, my opinion of the series has to be that FlyQuest didn't exactly play a really, really good game, but they played more like a 4 out of 10. They played under average League of Legends, but they played with a bit of a team goal, bit of a team strategy. They played on the same level as 100 Thieves when they lost. They had more experience in the best of fives, but when it came to TSM, I truly believe that they only drafted one game, which was the 4th game, for them to actually win. All the other drafts I thought were terrible. They are a team that win lane, then win game, and the reason why all the games are so snowball for TSM is because if you give them a composition like, say, set top, or like explosive one mid that Bjergsen can abuse, they'll keep on abusing that and stomp you so fast that the game is already over. But if you give them a comp which they're not allowed to, then you are now falling back onto your team fighting skills. So I think that the TSM coaching or people from whoever the hell picked that comp or whoever the hell is in TSM and think that they're a team fighting comp, because if you remember, TSM versus FlyQuest was a 10,000 gold deficit. So TSM had 10,000 gold over FlyQuest. They had everything ready to win, and they threw the whole game away because of 2 team fights, and they lost the game. And I was casting that game live, and I called it out, and I said this game can go anywhere because TSM and FlyQuest are both playing like crap, and TSM could throw away the fights at any moment, and they did. Moments later, boom, turned around FlyQuest on the edge of winning. So I don't know if TSM even understand how they win, is what it looks like to me. And I think FlyQuest had massive issues as well, but yeah, they had massive issues as well. Like Wild Turtle played some pretty aggressive, confident forward fights, but he also got himself caught out for no reason and killed several times. So everybody on FlyQuest were hot and cold. The worst performer in that whole series, for the first 4 games, was Ignar. That was like the worst support that I've ever seen him ever play. Zonya's Rakan, like, it makes no sense what he was doing. He never once did a Orianna combo with Rakan onto the Aphelios. He always fully CC locked everybody else, or a support like Nautilus, and ignored the Aphelios at the back. They could have just gone Rakan like about 10 times. Like they had 2 or 3 games where it was Orianna and Rakan. Rakan could have gone straight to the back with no resistance whatsoever, and then Orianna could have just altered into the Aphelios. Done. Game over. Instead, they go for a Nautilus. They never go onto the Aphelios, and then the Aphelios, the Rakan just stopwatches. Then the Aphelios just kills him. He just no impact whatsoever. A Redemption, Zeke's Convergence, Rakan with an Orianna charging forward would have smashed that team over and over and over and over and over. And then on the very last game, TSM ban Rakan, let a set through, and the Rakan did nothing. Absolutely nothing for the whole series. And they get smashed by set.
Excuse me? Do we watch
the only thing that Rakan did was flash W knock up to catch out Bjergsen and other players every so often. But if you look at all the team fights, go look at all the team fights and see how many times that Rakan and Orianna could have blown up Aphelios or gathered the entire team together and done a full combo. The Rakan never did a proper job on the team fights.
Okay, I'm just gonna drop this one because I feel like in order to actually have this, we would have to have a VOD in front of us.
Sorry, what?
I said I'm gonna go ahead and drop this one because I feel like in order to actually, because I feel like he had very, very good plays on Rakan.
Well, I mentioned this in chat, right? So if you wanted to double check it, you can go have a look. But if you look at the Rakan fights, you look at Orianna and Rakan and how many times they could have done an instantaneous lockdown onto the Aphelios of the backline. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And they never do it. Instead you see Rakan CC locking a support. What do you do?
Alright, so what I think of the FlyQuest TSM series, I mean, I'll kind of bring it back to the 100 Thieves TSM series on the Game 5. I truly think in the bottom of my heart, 100 Thieves could have won that Game 5. If you look at the game graph, they were never losing. What's his name? Broken Blade was essentially not in the game for like 40 minutes, and 100 Thieves just couldn't win a 4v5 for 40 minutes. And then TSM, narrowly beat them. And I think this series should have, pretty much shows why, why TSM should have lost to 100 Thieves, but FlyQuest were more, decisive. They knew what they wanted to do at certain points. Might not be the best, but at least they knew what they wanted to do, and they were more cohesive than 100 Thieves to pull out the series. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny though. TSM and FlyQuest haven't faced each other in a playoff series since 2017. And then Wild Turtle beat FlyQuest, and now he's on FlyQuest beating TSM. That's crazy, honestly. That's crazy. But I'm glad FlyQuest finally clutched it out, and now at least, even if they lose to EG, I'm not saying they are, but even if they do, they'll at least be a top 3 team. They are making progress, which is good. I like that.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm just kind of stuck right now.
So, rocking the
I don't know. I hold on. I just sort of don't. I just think saying that Ignar was playing some of the worst support you've ever seen is a little too far.
I think he said for him.
Considering.
No, it was awful. It was so bad, it's not even funny.
It's
okay, for one example here, okay? I'll show you a screenshot.
Oh, for one, it's all subjective.
Okay.
It's all subjective. We all have our own opinions. It's totally fine. This is
it's fine.
I play support. I could be drunk and play better than that.
Oh my god! No, sorry, guys. It's not to you. That's for the viewers because they're like, oh my god, they're arguing. That's what a fucking podcast is for, guys. We're cool.
Yeah,
we're all debating. It's all fun.
So if you look here, right? So I'll explain. So if you look here, that picture, you've got obviously a Baron fake. So FlyQuest to go into the Baron and Ignar's flanking around the side. So on the right hand side, you've got Kobe and Dardok. Now this flank here will never work because the time for the main team of FlyQuest to get to those 2 people is so difficult because you go around the wall and then you got to walk into that distance. And the CC lock is not like that long. It's not going to last that long for them to get there. Then you've also got TSM who are doing Raptors? They're going to be in the bush, of course. So now Ignar has set up this fight which is compelling the team of FlyQuest must exit the river and go up that ridge to get to Aphelios. The time that it takes to get there, they'll get out, which they do, and then they get collapsed on. So now the 4 of FlyQuest get collapsed on by 3 of TSM, and the Rakan flank doesn't do anything. He kills his whole team here. They lose this fight because of Ignar's engage. It's never going to work because of the distances. The distance between the teams, the power takes too long, and it's in the favor of TSM because of the engage of Ignar. Now, it would be completely different if the wall of the Baron, if that wall of the Baron was not there, and they could walk freely straight to the right, if they didn't have to walk around through the river and then up, it'd be okay. But because of that wall, they have to go around and it takes too long to get there. It would never work. And Broken Blade and Nautilus just smash the crap out of FlyQuest on the flank there. He kills his whole team. That's a bad engage. Bad judgment.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I didn't watch the VOD. I can't quite remember exactly. I'll take your word for it. But yes, that is a bad engage. Every team in this whole playoffs has had bad engages. I'm just saying, I've also seen him make very good plays in order to make picks. He have some good advantages. I'm just saying. All I was saying is, it seems like a massive. I didn't expect to hear you say it was that bad. It's just it was kind of a shock to me, which is why I was at a loss for words. Anyway.
His 5th game was a lot better on Thresh, because he was playing a lot better. Like, he was playing like he should have been on Thresh, rather than a Rakan. So that last game when he was on Thresh was really, really good. But, like, I mean, I just comment on what it is. Like, I don't really play favorites. Like, Stunt played like absolute garbage for most of the set. He couldn't even hook anything. And this one, his hooks were a lot better. Not perfect, but, gee, they actually did a lot of work on it. So, I just call it for what it is. He did some really good plays to get some, like catches on Bjergsen, which really changed the game here and there. But damn, the potential for him to lock down the game so much more. he was like, if he played at his very best, this game wouldn't be anywhere near close. Like, the fights would have been stomped so much faster.
Right, yeah, so this entire sequence you just described to me before, I agree, yes, that was a bad game. The thing is, that wasn't necessarily the Rakan pick, that was just his macro play. That was just him making a bad decision. Doesn't matter what support he was right there. That was just a terrible decision. Outright.
Yeah, that's right. So it was just at the timing. The whole idea was Rakan to flank around the side to get that concept going. But when he went for it, he should have said, "Oh, I've got a Philios," but then he should have seen the situation with the map and says, "Oh, wait, don't go. This is bad. Leave." You gotta know, like, when you try something and it's like, "Wait, this is bad. Don't go for it." You gotta tell your team to fuck off, because Rakan, the flank from Rakan, like, he's sort of famous for it, does a really, really good job. But that one there's like, "Oh wait, don't take it, guys. Just let me die. This is bad."
Right. Well, this is why I really wish I had the VOD in front of me, because I'd also like to see is it necessarily that he went too early, or did the rest of his teammates pull off the Baron too late? Was this a setup play that they were? Was this a setup play that they were planning, and did they just not make the call to go and meet the flank in time? That's all I'm considering.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, the catchouts he did make on Rakan did wildly swing the series, which you said before you don't understand why they banned the Rakan. It's because of those catches that in the plays that he did make that did swing games 3 and 4, or 2 and 3. Are the reasons they had to ban it, because his catches out on Bjergsen were the reason he was able to they were able to pick up major objectives. Obviously, TSM felt it was an issue because they took it away from them in Game 4 and then banned it in Game 5.
Yeah, like, they get a set instead of Rakan, which is worse. Like, Rakan was doing good picks. Like, for example, they got a pick onto Bjergsen. So they kill Bjergsen mid lane because they do flash. Rakan does flash, W knock up, and locks him down. So it's a good catch. Then they all go down bot to Zerg Broken Blade, which was a huge waste of time, because you killed the Victor, they could have just gone straight and take out the inhibitors, because they can't defend if Victor is alive, they can't siege. So they get a pick on Victor, and what do? They waste the entire time running this Broken Blade down bot lane, trying to kill him, and then Bjergsen respawns. It's like, it's good you got the pick now to go take the towers and the inhibitor, and then go thread and Baron. So, that's good. But in team fights, the Rakan was underperforming big time. And the thing about set is it's nearly impossible to underperform on a set with your ults and your CC. It's nearly impossible. So, like, what would you rather have? An underperforming Ignar who's having a bad down Rakan, or solo on set? Which one would you ban? I'd be like, fucking solo on set.
Oh, yeah,
you're right. Yeah,
I agree.
That's my point as well.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a mistake to give them the set. Obviously, I had the sense that he was swinging the game. Well, he was swinging the game both ways. He was not playing the team fights correctly, but he was also helping them get man advantages so they could take objectives. And that is a problem for TSM. But yes, the set is a much bigger problem because the set actually just kills your backline. But yeah.
Oh, right. Since we're on the topic of TSM, we've talked about 100 Thieves exiting, TL exiting, GG exiting. Alright, so what are you guys' parting thoughts on TSM, since they're technically gonna now finish 4th?
Alright, I have a hot take.
Oh, good lord.
Bring it on! It might be time to accept Bjergsen is past his prime and is no longer can be considered a top 4 mid laner in the league. I feel like if you're a TSM fan, it's time to accept that he is not the man he once was.
Actually, I had similar thoughts to that. That's not exactly a bad thing to say. I think that when I was thinking I actually thought about this at work today. You know how everybody in the offseason was like, oh, C9's gonna fail without Sneaky, blah, 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 and shit. Well, you know how they turned it around? And they made a really good splash this season? TSM hasn't really ever tried out a different mid laner before. Maybe TSM might look a lot different with a new mid laner. Not a hot. It's not that. That's not me saying Bjergsen is bad, people. It's just like you're never gonna know what's better unless you try it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what people said about C9. That's what people said about G2, Fnatic when they lost all their star players. But look at them; they all became better.
Mm-hmm. And we were saying, I said it before the 100 Thieves TSM game. I thought I still had a little bit of faith in Bjergsen. I thought he could perform up to the level that he historically has been, and he just didn't. He wasn't able to exploit Ryoma in order to gain large advantages in mid lane every game. He just wasn't able to do it, and that's just kind of curious because although Ryoma improved and started to play much better later in the split, he was still getting stuffed by every single top performing mid laner in the league. Jizuke, Power of Evil. Even in the games that FlyQuest lost, Power of Evil was still winning mid lane. Nisqy, obviously. I just don't. I haven't seen him take over games aside from the game they went against C9. The Brazilian.
I have something I need to go to, so I'm going to hop in and make
go ahead.
opinion here quick. And I think TSM, I think you're on something with Bjerg. They have a coaching issue. They keep the same Peter guy around for the last 3 years. The team has the same issue year after year after year. Is if they don't stop the early game, they just lose. And ever since Double F left, somebody who's known to have been like a heavy shot caller on teams in the past 3 or 4 years. They just have no like shot calling direction mid late game, and it's just time to either have somebody try being a shot caller or just changing up the coaching together to force like a thing of leadership. Because TSM just looks like a team without a leader for too many years now.
Right.
They lost 3 of their players from last spring, didn't they? The only ones that are remaining are Broken Blade and Bjergsen, and they don't look like shot callers to me. I mentioned that in my review of TSM, and
but I gotta go.
I think they lost their identity.
I'm gonna hit you guys back next week, but
yeah, dude. It's been nice talking to you, man. Hopefully, I'll see you next week too.
Yep.
Can I ask you something?
What did I do?
Otego, can I ask you something? Can I ask you a question? What do you think of because these problems have been pervasive in TSM even without their current the current coach what's his name? I can't quite remember, but this has been a problem beyond just this coach. Do you think the meme or the thought or the conspiracy that Reggie's the problem because he's so too overly involved with the actual running of the team beyond a general manager's standpoint
Who's
has
Reggie?
any water to it? Reggie, the owner of TSM.
Oh, okay. It could be. But you'd have to know about the politics behind the scenes of what's going on.
He's a very hands-on GM owner. Actually, I don't know if he's his GM, but he is the owner. And
if he's hands-on, I hope he knows it's sports. That's all I can say. I hope he's not just a pencil pusher. It's hard to say because I don't think that TSM. Yeah, hope he's into sports.
Reggie was one of the original members of TSM.
So I don't know. It might be a good thing then. Who knows? He could be like the problem or the cure, depending on his influence.
Right.
Maybe it could be the pressure thing people were talking about. TSM just induces a lot of pressure to their players.
Yeah. I wasn't saying any of that to try to support or counterpoint any of your things. I was just trying to give you context because it sounded like you didn't know who Reggie was. So I was just trying to give you the context.
For me, TSM just seemed like it's so obvious it hurts, and I don't know why or how they have a team that goes successful against C9. They know how it works, and then they just forget about it. It's like they got amnesia of themselves. And then Game 4 versus FlyQuest, it's like amnesia again. It's like, oh, I hope we win. It's like, of course you're going to win. Your champions are good. Oh, we won. Yeah, you should have been doing that all the time. And then they just don't know what the hell they're supposed to be doing all the time. Like the goldfish. Every game, the goldfish, they forget. So, I don't get it. What the hell's wrong with them?
Yeah. No, a lot of things. Side note, I don't think the C9 game they won, I don't actually think it was them having better coaching or better players, a better game plan, beyond the fact that the Zillion in that game just absolutely stuffed Cloud9's entire team comp. Cloud9 just didn't account for the Zillion mid, and it just stuffed their entire game plan. I really feel like that one pick in and of itself literally won them the game. And I wouldn't read into it personally too much beyond that, to be honest. But
all of the champions that they picked for C9's champions versus TSM's all had low skill execution, high impact, and a lot of AoE. So it was like a blender for TSM. It didn't require too much skill for them to execute it, but you look on the side of C9, Shen top, which is like, you're not going to CC that many compared to Set, and then you've got Lee Sin, who's more single target than Zoe. The only one they really had was like Leona and Miss Fortune, but the squishy backline. So they had very low skill execution on TSM, but at least they had a lot of pressure to keep that pressure up. So in that game there, they played like an average game of Legends, which was very competitive, against a team comp of C9, which probably had very, very little chance of winning. So there's not much more beyond that. It's just the fact that they forget their winning recipe.
I just don't understand them, man. It's like they need to do what C9 did this year, where they went with a totally new approach. They changed shit up because they keep doing, like, it's the same thing C9 had a problem with all these years. They keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, at some points it will work, and then they think that those sometimes that it works will justify it actually being a good system. You see my point there?
Yeah. No, I do completely see your point, and obviously something's wrong top to bottom, like you guys have been alluding to, because when's the last time TSM had a good jungler? Like Dardoch is good in like the first 10-15 minutes, but after that he completely forgets how to play the game. And this is his issue as a jungler for TSM is more unique than the other ones. The other ones just sort of were bad, but it's just been a thing. Why is it that this team can't have a good jungler? Something is actually wrong with the way they approach the game, or the way they practice, or the way they communicate. Something is fundamentally wrong, and it's been over several coaches, over several iterations of the team.
I think coaching is a factor, because I think Bjergsen doesn't work too well with his jungle. I think either Bjergsen is too hands-on or doesn't communicate enough, but I know for a fact that Bjergsen doesn't consider his entire team when it comes to fights. He's a bit... it's like he's blinded in a way. That's the only way I can really say it, is that it looks like he's a bit blinded because he's picked fights in which have no chance of winning, and his team are not there, and they have no power, versus like C9, for example, when he went on Renekton. He had no power behind him to back him up. He was going into a fight where he was outnumbered. Miss Fortune and the support, I think it was Nautilus and Miss Fortune, both had their ults on CD. And
are you talking about the C9?
Versus Kiana.
Oh yeah, their week 4 match when he played Renekton mid and then got 2 kills early on, where he give 2 kills Renekton onto Doinby, Faker, Rookie. The game's over. Like, it's just over. You saw him dive between 2 turrets trying to kill an Elise, and then he died. Then people have the nerve to tell me that it's not his fault, it's his team. I just saw this guy int his ass in this game. Like, people are just so stuck on this delusion of him being the mid laner of the past. Like, let's be honest here, guys. Because we'll get to this point in just a moment. It's the MVP thing. Why the hell was Bjergsen in the MVP voting. What? Like, is that fan service? Like, is this a circus around here? Are we just fucking around? All right, put Apollo and Keith up there then. If we're gonna put Bjergsen up there, then Apollo should be up there then. Because Apollo actually had an impact on his team. Apollo comes in, they start winning more games. Bjergsen, he's literally... How could the fourth best mid be an MVP? No one can explain it to me. They're like, oh, Bjergsen there is fine. Bjergsen there is fine. Okay, so Apollo, Xmithie, Closer, and Ignar should have been there then. If we're talking about impact on their team then. Ignar was not there, and Froggen and Bjergsen were. And I was like, alright, this is a circus. This means nothing now. This almost means shit to me.
If Froggen's there, and Ignar isn't...
Like Keg W? Like Monk S or some shit? Is what you guys say in Twitch nowadays?
Just running... You say running down the MVP voting. It's Bjergsen, Blabber, Broken Blade, Froggen, Jizuke, Niski, PoE, Someday, Vulcan, Sven.
Holy God.
Yeah, why is Froggen and Bjergsen there?
Like, okay, I'll accept Bjergsen there. Okay, I'll take them. But why is Froggen there? If they want to have fan service and put Bjergsen there, that's cool. But why is Froggen there? Like, why is Froggen there?
Froggen, like, the thing is, if you're gonna have a mid laner, like a fan service mid laner, I think Jensen is a more deserving candidate than Bjergsen. Like, sure, Bjergsen's team made the playoffs, but Jensen consistently played better the whole split. Also, I sort of feel like Licorice kind of got snubbed in that.
I feel you, bro. Yeah.
Like, I understand, like, you don't want to put all 5 C9 members in the MVP voting, but for real?
They're such bullshitters, man. Because they did it last year with TL, remember? Remember they did it with TL last year? They're such bullshitters, man.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I don't think Licorice... Obviously, Licorice had standout games. And he also had games where he was fairly invisible on the map. But that was mostly because it seemed like C9 was very much invested in the mid lane 2v2, getting Niski ahead to unlock him to roam. And they also, very early in the season, when we were in the Ophelia of Senna meta, they were also heavy into playing around bot lane, so I think that contributed to the reason why people were kind of passing over him for a long time. But I don't know, it's just we have 10 teams with 5 starters each. It's 50 players, and I just can't see why we can't find better candidates than Froggen. Like, what about oh god, CLG mid laner,
Pole Belter.
Pole Belter came into CLG, and although they didn't pick up that many wins after he came, they made the team look much better. Like, clearly his presence was valuable to them.
So I've got Canalogic? Yeah, Canalogic Gaming. I suspect that they will be top 5-ish, maybe top 6. I think they'll be a really good team in the next split. Because the way they look alive, even though it's a dead rubber in a lot of their games, they're actually really, really on fire to try and win. So I think they're actually going to come out and play really well in the next split, so that'll be really interesting. But for Bjergsen, it's tricky because I've seen it, like, he talks, either he tells his jungler to do things that he wants, or he doesn't talk enough, or, like, I don't know, it's just a bit strange. Like, he's a good player and everything, but when it comes to a team environment, it's all about how you link with your teammates around you. And he plays as if he's got no microphone, and they're not talking to each other. Yeah. Like, it's just so bad, it's not even funny how bad it is. And then in other cases, you give him a LeBlanc, and he'll, like, run circles around the other team because he doesn't have to give a shit about his own teammates, because he's just playing troll. Like, in the first game that he played against Immortals, I believe it was, the game went on for so long, like 45 minutes. The only reason why was because Bjergsen was running rings around them on LeBlanc, split pushing, doing crazy shit, and his team didn't do anything to even help him. But you could also maybe argue maybe he wasn't communicating to his team as well. So there is a very big problem with Bjergsen's communication, and all I would do to fix it is just get Bjergsen and Dardoch and the support, and just play 3v3s like all day for like weeks. Just like in your passing time, is just play 3v3s until you find out how the fuck you guys are going to communicate. Because you guys can't say shit. You guys can't even walk down a road at the same timing because you're so bad. That there is maybe that's the reoccurring theme is Bjergsen's lack of communication. But that's why communicating is such a big deal. That's why the democracy bullcrap on Team Liquid is ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree, and it seems I don't know. I sort of got the sense over the last few years. It used to be the criticism that everyone lodged against TSM was, "Oh, jungler is a ward bot for Bjergsen," and maybe that was because he just demanded this.
It could be because he went north when the Dragon was up. They gave free Dragon to C9 because Dardoch, I don't know, maybe it could have been Bjergsen told him to go up, but he went up and put a ward. He went to ward by the Herald and up by top lane. He walked over a ward as soon as he was spotted. Blabber jumped on and soloed the Dragon. Why the hell are you going top when the Dragon's up? It's no Herald.
Yeah, that's
So,
not. This
Is
is not the.
Bjergsen? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, did he? I don't think he did. He have teleport? I don't. Yeah, I can't remember if he ran teleport, but I don't think he even had. If he did run teleport that game, I don't think he had it up. Because.
On Renekton?
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the little Blanc game. Never mind.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, it was the pretty sure it was Renekton. Yeah, the Renekton game. He just gave free Dragon to C9.
Oh yeah.
Went north instead of south, so they just get free Dragon. And they're smashing mid with the Renekton. How on earth does a Dragon go for free? Oh, that's right, because he's walking north for no reason.
Yeah, you are the strongest member of your team. Your team drafted you the Renekton and flip-flopped their lanes around. Specifically, so you could be strong and that you could be there when the team fight erupted and you could help them win the team fights and get those objectives. And you're just not there. Obviously, and here's the thing, people say, oh, it's just this year they're having communication problems. But this is not the first year it's happened. It seems like the common denominator for all of these communication issues with TSM is Bjergsen. Because who else has been here the entire time?
See, with someone like that, I think that Bjergsen is a player who is very, very introverted, and this is why communication is really important, because some people shouldn't talk, and some people should. Some people can't talk because they're too focused. He might be a person who's too focused and he can't talk. And you just got to learn how different people play. Maybe he plays at his best when he's not talking. If that's the case, then you say, okay, dude, no shot calling for you. If the jungler's going north, you don't like it, tough shit, don't fucking talk. And the jungler will fucking tell you what you're gonna do. You sit there and you think, and you play at your best, let somebody else do the talking. Maybe that fixes it. Because if he talks and he can't do both, maybe that's it. But everyone's different.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you're a support, so if you're Bifrost or you're Dardoch on TSM, and you come to the conclusion, I just have to tell Bjergsen tough shit. All of a sudden you run into the problem of, well, Bjergsen is TSM. He has stock in the company. He's essentially a part owner of it, and it feels like trying to tell your boss to shove it. You know what I mean? It's well. Maybe for you, but
best. Yes, all you say is, dude, you play at your best when you don't talk. Let someone else do the shot calls, and you just let them do it. You relax.
I agree with you. I'm saying, but for some players, that they might find that really difficult given the circumstances.
Yeah, I know. That's right. That's why teams are built. You know, it's difficult. That's why you got all these problems.
Yeah, and that's why I brought up the point is. He's not a top 4 mid laner anymore, I don't think. And if he's not, even if he's number 5, is it worth having that on your team at all?
Well, that's the thing. I think that if it's solo queue and it's just 1v1, then he would have to be like top 4. But when it comes to team, no. You just find like anyone who can communicate better and anyone who can fit what the team needs will do better than Bjergsen. Even if they go like average or lose a bit in lane.
Yeah. I think it's unthinkable, but I think it's time to move on from him.
That's
because
the sad thing is that they will never do that.
Because, listen, yeah, you guys got the playoffs, and you guys won a series, but here's the thing. This has been a fairly dysfunctional year. Teams were just starting to pull themselves together into something resembling a cohesive unit across the board other than C9 at the end of the split. And so you getting to that point isn't really all that impressive. Because you guys, before the split started, everyone was saying they were going to be one of the best teams. They were going to challenge Team Liquid. They were going to be this force. And it didn't happen, and these problems
even C9. C9, they keep on saying only one they can challenge us is TSM, 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 TSM. And TSM can't even get out of the gate.
Yeah, well, I feel like they just said that because they're the only team to beat them. I feel like they're just like, well... yeah.
No, but it's like, I was thinking that the same thing too. It's like, TSM's players, like, perfectly always beat C9 players because it's just a counter playstyle. Like, C9 is trying to go, like, 90 miles an hour, and then TSM's that one superhero or villain that can stop them. Like, if TSM is a team that has good enough players to hold back, like, T9's aggression, but now with TSM and TL out, that moves to our next topic, which is LCS Finals previews. Who takes the title? So, before we get to that, we had C9 versus EG. What are you guys' quick thoughts about that series?
You can go first. I've been going first this whole time.
You go first or you're out! No, I'm just kidding.
So, Evil Genius. Oh dear. They played like absolute crap. Really bad. I mean, I'm like, I don't play biased, but if I was biased, I'd be hoping that Evil Genius would be competitive. That's the only bias that I've got, and they really stuffed up.
Yeah.
They had a few nice ideas with Poppy Top to try and neutralize, and that was pretty good. But the jungle was just such a mess. Was it third game or no? Maybe it was fourth.
The one they won.
Bad. No, not the one they won, but just in general, the jungle was a complete mess. Like they had Pantheon, who took, I think, Raptors first, or he took the enemy's red, and they could have gone straight mid and ganked Zoe to get mid pressure, then you can have mid pressure, bot pressure. Instead, he takes a camp, he roams around for nothing, goes back into their camp, and then everybody turns on him, and it's a 3v1, and you just see Svenskeren running for his life from 3 people. It's like, what the fuck are you doing there? Like, just go gank Zoe, just flash, stun the Zoe, smash her face in, she gets her ass kicked, boom, mid-pressure, now you can do something. Why is that so fucking hard? Like, that's what I mean about, like, that's why I rate C9 as, like, an average team or better than average, because they don't do stupid shit like that. Like, how is it that you can't play basic League of Legends? Why do you look like a joke? C9, it's a compliment to say they're average, because they don't make so many mistakes. They're not so hot and cold. That was a fucking joke by EG. They won one game, but the only game that EG won was because C9 drafted a early aggression stomp comp with Talia Pantheon.
They were winning that game.
They just couldn't get far enough ahead.
Well, they
lost the fight in Dragon at the Drake, and
they can't.
It was over from there.
Yep. So all they did was Evil Genius would just bulldog them and just charged in hardcore in a team fight and just smashed them with raw. They just charged as hard as they could, and they can't stop that because Pantheon Talia can't. But that was a joke of a win. Like, Evil Genius were given the win. They didn't do anything. Like, Evil Genius did nothing in that game that was impressive apart from let's group up an ARAM and charge and press our buttons real fast. That's it. That's the recipe of how they won. So incredibly disappointed with Evil Genius not being competitive at all. What they needed to do was they needed to contest every single lane and prevent roaming. So one of the things I covered was about that, prevent the roaming. The draft, C9 were going easy on them in the draft. They were not smashing them in the draft, which they could have. So what they did in the first 2 games is C9 said to Evil Genius, we're going to be nice. We're going to pick an Aatrox for you. But don't worry, we're not going to pick a Vayne or a Kalista or a Lucian and smash your face in top. We'll be nice to you this time. We'll pick an Aatrox. Because they could have.
Well, Kalista, they banned Kalista LeBlanc set in game 1 in the first rotation, and EG block.
Guess who banned? Yeah, C9 banned.
Senna, Phelios, Olaf. Yeah, they didn't do that. I'm not sure why. I guess they just. Oh, maybe
that's
it's
what I mean. They gave them a favor.
Oh, yeah. Well, how do you think that what do you think of the Nocturne pick? I actually really like it.
Yeah, it's good, except EG don't know how to play League of Legends. Like, that Nocturne, I was actually calling it out live, and I was saying, I hope these dickheads on Evil Genius know the timing, because last time, 100 Thieves played against a Nocturne, and they saw Nocturne get level 6 at the Raptors, and they played as if Nocturne doesn't exist. Nocturne ganks and gets a kill. The timing of it was the same time. He got like 48 CS on the Raptors, he goes mid, gets 1 or 2 CS and gets an ult and kills Yuzuka. I saw that from a mile away. Like, I'm sitting there casting it live, and I'm like, it's gonna happen. Boom, it happens. Like, what are you guys doing in your spare time? Like, are you guys like professional cooks or something? Like, how do you not see that? I can see it from a mile away. Nocturne picks good, except you could smash it with the jungler they had, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything with it. But the picks, like, they banned out Kalista. C9 banned Kalista, right? And I think they banned Set. That is doing EG a favor. That's going nice on them. They could have banned nothing. Like, you know, if C9 banned absolutely nothing, it'd be impossible for EG to play. Because you could go Vayne, Lucian, or Kalista top, and what the hell is Kumo gonna do? He's gonna have a nightmare. Was he gonna pick Mordekaiser against that? Yeah, right. He won't even be able to live.
Yeah.
His ass kicked.
Yeah.
So C9 went easy on them. EG had they had everything set up to be competitive and go even. Not win, but just be competitive, and they don't know how to do that. So I thought it was a complete joke. C9 were going easy on them. EG were given a free win. I thought it was just really, really dramatically disappointing and shocking at just how garbage that turned out to be. And EG get a second chance.
Right. So
it's just bad for the league. So bad.
So yeah, it's not even just that C9 is not making mistakes in that series. Like, EG was playing like they didn't expect C9 to be proactive and just go execute their plan and you know, play the game. Because here's the reason I consider C9 a little bit better than a 6+ on your grading scale, is because they're not just not making mistakes and punishing mistakes. They are extremely proactive. They go execute on a plan and execute on a play, and they do it correctly. And they very rarely are mispositioning, and they're very good at actually playing League of Legends. And no one else in North America is acknowledging it.
I'll explain to you, right? So the reason why is because when it comes to these setup plays, once you get your lane winning or lane dominance, and then that's the first point. As soon as you get that, everything else trickles forward. So as long as you have that, then everything starts to fit in place. It's like when you're winning, you can win more, right?
Right. But
when they have that initial setup and the other team can't fight, they don't know how to counteract, then everything becomes robotic and it flows. Now that robotic flow is very, very easy to be consistent on because you're training behind the scenes. But what happens when you play against other teams is that you don't win your lane, so you can't do the plan. So then all of a sudden, like, you look perfect when your team that you're playing against can't contest you. You can do everything in a very perfect format, but they're not tested because they don't know what it's like to play against other teams that mess with them. So when they try to implement their same good macro play, which is all clean, which I agree with, so they're all clean, they're all good, and everything's like really, really strong. But other teams, they don't play by the same rules, and they'll play with their own rules. Like it's like the same thing if you've got a person who's got the best right-hand punch in the world, but then someone comes along and they have a better punch than you, then who wins? Well, the guy who has a better right punch. So you used to be good, but someone is now better than you. So what happens when C9 plays against a team that does exactly what C9 does? Better. Then that's
you don't throw punches. You use kicks.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, right? So
yeah. So
if you find a team that's as good as C9 and you can do what they do better, then it's like, well, how good are they really? And then people will be on the hype train of, oh, C9's garbage, they lost, oh my god. And it's like, no, it's just the different styles, and this is good for them. They'll bounce back, or like they'll play against like a lesser team from Asia, and the lesser team will like smash them. Oh my god, C9's garbage. Like, no, it's just the way that the game is. Like, stop being overhyped of C9 is incredibly good, or C9 failed, so they're garbage now. The game is a lot more in depth about that. So C9 have a lot of really good tools that they have, and they can learn from all the games that they'll go up against, but they're not being tested in every single area well enough, especially when you're Svenskeren getting lost in the enemy jungle, getting himself killed. These things are just really basic plays. So there's a potential to be really, really, really good. The only limiting factor is going to be how much training they can get in versus their opponents when they go to like different regions, because they have the core essentials to be incredibly good, but they haven't had the exposure yet. That's all. That's why you can't give them a 10 out of 10. Oh, because I'm talking about the world here, not LCS. I'm talking about the whole world. That's why I say it.
Oh my gosh. What the hell did I just read? Ravioli, are you talking actually? Ravioli? Is he dead?
There's lights on, but no one's up.
Yeah, he's just kind of on and off. Good lord. Okay. Well, I'll just guess I'll go. Yeah, I mean, I tried to look at what they were doing in general from that first game where they picked Yasuo. You know how they picked Yasuo, the knockup composition where, you know, obviously they try to force Nisqy back because they know Nisqy likes to roam. I like the idea of what they were doing, but the mis-execution from Jiizuke and Svenskeren, which was pretty weird, because of, you know, him missing his Gragas ult, Jiizuke flashing on Yasuo and missing, you know, that's just communication issues out the, you know, back. And I think that the game that they won, it was something that
I don't know why I keep DCing.
It's because he was getting he was getting head, guys. His wife was giving him lots of sex.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I was. When did I cut out?
At like around a minute ago.
I don't think we heard anything.
Yeah, we didn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. So I was making the point, whereas I was talking about how the other thing that impresses me about C9 is not only are they good in, you know, the clean macro play and the game plans, and they're not making mistakes, they're also clearly very good mechanically. Like, we just saw Licorice play both sides of the same matchup of the Ornn Aatrox and get solo kills both times. And it's not just him. You see it across the board for their players. And I feel like that's just another thing to be high on C9 about. Is their
it's just comparing it versus the whole world. That's all.
Right.
It's the whole world.
Right.
I'm not like negative C9. It's more like you look at it in reality and it's like they're good. Yeah, they're going well. They're really bored because they don't really have much to do anymore, and they're trying to mess around with things. But they're really wanting to just get to MSI, and maybe one of these teams can actually give them a good game of League of Legends.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen yet.
not yet. Thanks, Rona. But yeah, it's just my main issue was when you say, oh, they play against a lesser Asian team, and they say they just get smashed, but we're using the terms. We're talking about reality. That's hypothetical still. That's not reality. We're just talking hypothetically. We're assuming that they'll just get smashed with. Honestly, there's no evidence for either way, really.
Well, G2 got smashed by Puvan Buffalo. Like, absolutely creamed. And that was the best G2 that we've ever seen going to MSI. They're coming off a huge hype train. They got smashed into the ground by Shen Kaiser, bot lane, Puvan Buffalo. And that was a complete, joke. It was a joke. They got absolutely smashed. But what I do is I don't like the hype train. I don't like the superficial praise. I'll praise a team when they actually deserve it. So, like, I'll never say that C9 or any team is like insanely good, because then if they lose a game, then it'll be like, oh no, they're garbage again. Like, I don't do that. Like, when a team goes up and down, I don't go, oh, they're garbage now because they dropped a game. It's more like I give them a 6+ because it's like, yeah, they're really good. But reality is that the ceiling's really high for the whole world of League of Legends, and if they fail at a game, I'm not going to say, oh, see, C9 are crap, because even when they lost a game to TSM, I'm not, dropping their score. I don't demean C9 because they dropped the game. It's like, it's just one game. It's no big deal. It's just a different play style. It's all good. They're still crazy good. They're way better than everybody else. But in terms of the whole reality of it, damn, they got so much to learn. There's so much more to be exposed to, and they could be a team. Like, if you think I'm negative on C9 or not, like, they could be a team that goes to semi-finals and Worlds. If they get enough training in MSI, they could do that. But it's all about how they can deal with MSI and different teams. And, like, there are different regions, there are different problems. Like, G2, their problem is they can't handle aggression.
Which is ironic, considering how aggressive they are.
Exactly. Yeah, and as soon as I saw Shen Kaiser pick Puvan Buffalo, I said they can't handle aggro. They are the ones, they can only, like when they play against Fnatic, they do not handle an enemy bot lane being more aggressive than them. They are always the aggressor, so it's like a bully. They can always dish it out, but they can't take it. Right, so that's why the LPL is so good, is because they're all psychos, they can all dish it out and they can all take it. They're always mental. They can do hype plays and they can get their ass kicked. They're all used to it. But G2, they're not used to getting their ass kicked so hard. So that's why C9, it's like, okay, do you know what happens when C9 plays another macro team that's better than them? No. What if they can't handle it? Well, they'll never make it through. You see what I mean? What if they fight a team that's super mental top? Can they handle it? No. Okay, are they going to fix it? You see what I mean? There's like, you look at teams and you're like, okay, you got a problem on this team. Can you fix it? TSM, right? You know how to win. Can you fix it? No.
Right. Well,
next day, no. Next day, no. It's like, well, they can't fix the problem. So TSM, it's like, do we know TSM's biggest problem in playing the rest of the world? No. We don't know yet. But they'll get one, and then they'll have to fix it. And we don't see any of that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I don't know. I'm just sort of being a stickler because what is your country of origin right now? Or country of origin right now? it's I know in other places of the world, when I hear a 6 out of 10, where in US, that's a failing grade. That's like
yeah, but my criteria was 5 is you're competent, and anything below 5. So, like, a 10 out of 10 is absolute perfection, right? That's the criteria, right? So, 5 out of 10, that means that you are good at doing everything, you don't make a lot of mistakes, but you don't do everything better. So that, if you look at LCS, then that makes a lot more sense, because it's like, well, does 100 Thieves play perfect and make a lot of mistakes? And, do they play perfect? Does 100 Thieves make a lot of mistakes, or are they pretty well-rounded? And it's like, well, they make a lot of mistakes, and they don't always play a good game. So it's like, okay, it has to be below 5 out of 10. So I just go below 5.
Yeah. No, I understand. I was just giving an explanation why I'm being such a stickler about this, about the number. But yeah, I think I can. It's interesting because you can actually apply that to a lot of teams from a lot of regions, like, say, Korea. The only team in Korea that, at least I've seen, that actually plays the hyper-aggressive style is Dragon X, correct? I don't watch a ton of LCK, but that's
Dragon X and Damwon Gaming. I think Damwon Gaming are more aggro than DRX. Like Nogari and that trying to go mental, but yeah.
right. But in general, though, Korea is a very risk averse region. I would say.
Yep.
So what happens when the other top teams, like who's first in the LCK right now? It's they have a tire, don't they?
Gen.G or SKT.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if SKT plays a mid-range Chinese team who absolutely will not handshake with them for 20 minutes? Probably something along the lines of C9 meeting their match, but better from China or EU or even the LCK. You probably see the same thing. So I understand what you're saying, for sure. We just don't know until the international competition happens, because all these regions are very much little cultures, little petri dishes of the meta of their own region.
It's just like I refuse to be like one of those hype people who are like, oh my god, TSM are going to be into the finals. Oh my god, they're going to be so good. And it's like, looked at your team recently? Like, you look at reality? Like, they can't play. What are you guys talking about? You know, and then I look at Evil Genius on paper and I was like, oh, that looks like a really cool team. I watched the first few games and I'm like, they don't even know how to play League of Legends. What are you guys doing? You're a joke. You know, it's like, you know, you look at it from your hopes or your slight desire for it to be good, but then you just got to look at reality and it's like, well, that's what it actually is. And that way you can better predict and not get caught off guard and be so hyped up about teams when they shouldn't be hyped. Because so many teams were overly hyped. G2 overhyped themselves so much in 2019. They said crazy things like, oh, Fnatic played so well. I think it's going to be G2 Fnatic finals because they're playing so well. I was like, are you kidding me? Right.
Well, see
like what?
On that one, I'll have to attest. I think that was them just honestly saying, if we don't build ourselves up, we know we can't win. Because if that was the 2018 that you're mentioning, then there's no way they ever thought in their right minds they were ever going to be IG.
No, 2019. So, 2019, yeah. They said that.
In Fnatic's case, I don't know why they were talking shit. Fnatic, I don't know why they were talking shit. They had no business talking shit. G2,
No, sorry, G2. So at the end of 2019 finals for EU, so at that grand final when G2 won, at the interview afterwards, G2 was saying so much praise because Fnatic challenged them in the best of 5. G2 were like, oh, that was so good, Fnatic. Oh, that was so good. I think that EU's going to have such a big year. It's going to be G2 versus Fnatic in 2019 Worlds Final. You're like, you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah, no, what? I agree. It bothers me when teams just, when fans, and like you said, you gave an example of a team itself, hyping themselves up to such the nth degree.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm in the spot right now where I get annoyed by people I perceive as underselling C9 and sort of knocking them against things they can't control. Like, they can't control who they play right now, and they're playing just about as well as you could possibly expect anyone to play against the level of competition they have. But at the same time, I also don't expect. I'm also not saying, "Oh, they're all lock for Worlds finals or Worlds semifinals." First of all, they have to win Summer Split, or at least get top 3 Summer Split, and then they have to go into groups. That has to happen first, and we'll see what happens when they get there. Honestly, I'd like C9. They would have to lose a split for this to happen, but I would honestly love for C9 to actually have to go through the gauntlet or go through play-ins. Yeah. I always loved it when C9 went through play-ins. I think that's a big reason why, for all those years, they were the best North American team in international competition, because they got all of that practice against different looks. The teams might not have been better than they were playing in North America, but at least. Excuse me. They were different. Yeah, they were different beasts. They had to learn how to play against different play styles, and in doing so, when they played a team that was better than them, they could actually pull out other things. They didn't have to meet their right hook with a right hook. They could sweep. They could sweep the leg. They could throw sand in their face or something. I don't know what
maybe it's something to here. Mention about it. Like if you're talking about the C9, the biggest compliment that C9 have at the moment is that they are the benchmark. So C9 are the measuring rod. They are the standard, and that's the biggest compliment that you never give a team in a competition where you say, "Oh, like it's between these two teams." There is no two teams. There's only one team, C9, and they are the benchmark. And in any type of field of competition, when you can say that, there's no other compliment you can give a team. They are the measuring rod. They are the team. It's where every other. So that compliment there is the best. You can't get better compliment than that for the LCS.
Yeah. I believe Travis Gafford interviewed Sven after their game against their series against 100 Thieves, and he admitted themselves like they're shadow boxing against themselves essentially. There's that sucks. We're our best competition right now, so we have to basically just do lots and lots of VOD reviews and nitpick ourselves. And here's the thing
about that. Oh,
I do agree with you that if they were in a different region, I think it would be a little rough at first. But say they got to do scrims in practice in, let's say EU or the LCK, I believe they could be in the top half of the leagues. I think they could be in the top 3 in either of those leagues if they got to practice the entire year in those regions. Because I do believe they're talented. They're very talented. They are the best that our region has to offer on their team, and mechanically, I believe they can stand. They can maybe not match, but they can stand up. And with the best of them, I believe their macro play would serve them well. But like you said, they have to level up in that time where they play in those other regions.
Yeah, there's a lot of areas where they need a lot of work, but if they have the foundation to have a good learning curve and adapt to different teams. So they got all the basics right. Like you can't be a team unless you have those basics. So now that they have those basics, they can actually look to challenge getting into Worlds. And no other, like, is there any team in LCS that can say that? No. So that's the only team. So
the other issue,
there are a few issues though with C9. Oh, maybe, yeah. But there are a few issues with C9, like Blabber's passing on that third game of 100 Thieves. He got schooled real badly. That's a real big thing, and when it talks about shadowboxing, the issue with shadowboxing is that you don't often get to create and adapt to new things because you're always playing against the same old people and same old things, so you don't get to learn. But he got schooled big time. They ganked Niski mid, level 2, chipped out, so they got mid pressure.
What was the champions of that one? I'm just trying to remember in my mind.
LeBlanc mid with, was it Pantheon jungle? Or Jarvan? And then Tom Kench, Varus bot. CG out real quick. So they go level 2, they invade, 100 Thieves invade and they take red buff. And then they, in that invasion, they kill Hecarim, but that's no big deal, it's just top, whatever. And then they take the red buff and then they straight away gank Niski. Now Niski knows that the red buff is taken, he knows that the jungler could gank, and he still gets chipped out. Because he gets chipped out, he loses mid priority and he gets pushed in. LeBlanc goes for a roam, catches out Pantheon in the river, forces Pantheon to flash, which destroys his early game aggression because he can't flash and stun lockdown anymore. He gets kicked out of his own jungle, and because Varus and Tom Kench on 100 Thieves are pushing, he's got mid priority and bot priority, and he's kicked out of basically the bottom side of the map. So when he gets kicked out, because of the bot side pressure, they keep on invasive warding onto the blue buff on bot side over and over and over. When Pantheon's spotted on the ward, Tahm Kench is already on the roam, and they go and meet him in the jungle and kill him. So he's dawdling in a river of complete darkness. Like, for him, it's complete darkness, complete no-go zone. Never go there. Don't ever go into the river because you don't own the river. 100 Thieves own the river, and they own your jungle. But he goes into his jungle, he goes into the river, and gets killed first blood. Then again he comes back, and he tries to mess around with mid again. They get TP'd on, and then they 3v2 mid, and they kill him again. That there's super bad. Now, TSM, C9 is still a really, really good team, right? C9 is still really good, but that there exposes that they're not immortal. That there is a huge fuck up. Huge fuck up. So...
No. I'm glad that he got punished for that mistake. Finally, a team finally punished a mistake. Now Blabber can work that out of his game. He can acknowledge what he did wrong there, and he can fix it. Obviously, Blabber's take has taken huge leaps and bounds as far as his reducing his super risky coin flip plays or brain farts, or, you know, as Reap would say, turns his brain off. He's made huge leaps and bounds, but he still has work to do. And it does sort of worry me that he hasn't been challenged too terribly often, except for odd cases like that. I don't think Blabber has really been punished more than a handful of times the whole split.
And that's because all the C9's lanes keep kicking ass, so he's always happy, yeah. So the other thing is, like...
Yes, the lanes are kicking ass, but let's also not take anything away from Blabber. He does make mistakes, but he is also a very gifted jungler. He is also a huge reason why a lot of times his laners are getting ahead, because he does make plays. It's just, for him, I feel like it is about removing the mistakes, and rather than trying to push his mechanics.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, if you look at it perspectively, like, if you think of all the teams like people, and it's like we're criticizing all these teams because they make mistakes and you give them a hard time, it's really hard. Like, but the truth is that everybody has issues, right? Even C9 have issues. But because they're all on this gravy train, this happy roller coaster, you don't get... There's not many things you can criticize C9 for. Like, you can't say, oh, they stuffed up there and there and there. But you can pick apart everybody else, because C9 have been cleaning them up and they're playing really good League of Legends. So it's hard to actually pick apart and criticize C9 because there's nothing to criticize them for. But that doesn't mean there's nothing there. It's just that there's nothing there to expose it yet. And that's why C9 are really good, but they have to be really careful. And all the fans and everyone need to just be real and say, this is awesome to see a great team. It's bad for, like, LCS. What they really should be concerned about is trying to get one of these damn teams in League of Legends, or several, to start playing a decent game of League of Legends, because any team from LCK, if C9 went against anyone in LCK, C9 would go fine. They go fairly even. Then they'll win or lose based on different things, but they'll be able to go even. You take the rest of these crap teams in the LCS, they won't even go very even, apart from maybe Evil Genius, who like that LCK playstyle, which is pretty slow.
They're psychopaths.
Yeah.
Jizuke brought an element of the EU psychopath play to EG, which I think is the reason why they're in second right now.
Oh.
It's they play aggressive. When you play aggressive, bad teams tend to be under pressure and make mistakes. It doesn't necessarily mean that EG is very good, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we are in finals week, we have the new matchup, which is FlyQuest versus EG. Now, we're going to have to take this two different ways, okay? So we're going to have to preview who Cloud9 could face, and we'll do both opponents. So who do you guys think will win out of FlyQuest versus EG?
FlyQuest.
Okay.
I feel Power of Evil is better than Jizuke. He's also more consistent, and he also doesn't int nearly as much. That's one thing I didn't mention about the the EG C9 game. Jizuke straight inted a lot in that in that series. He did not look very good at all, and when he wasn't able to just madman outplay his opponent because his opponent was too good, he was pretty exposed. And Power of Evil is he's also a very good carry, at least as far as NA is concerned. And I just don't feel like he'll run it down mid, and he'll be able to actually build a lead, because when we're looking at these games between these teams, we sort of have to consider, all right, who is least likely to completely throw the game right now? And I'd have to give it to FlyQuest. Their bot lane is still pretty safe. Solo is playing with a chip on his shoulder, and I believe he's going to just be a stable rock up there, and it's going to come down to mid.
You know, shoutouts to Jizuke for actually telling Travis that he was the best mid in North America, then proceeds to get destroyed. Oh, God, man, that... Good lord.
Hey, that wasn't fully unjustified. He went Echo into Rumble versus C9, and he actually got solo kill. And that's not an easy matchup. People have tried to replicate that. So that's Rookie who used Echo into a Rumble, and it's like, wow, that's actually pretty good. So people try it, and the Echo gets his ass kicked. So he actually did a good job to not stuff up that matchup and got the 1v1 kill on Niski.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, he did. But
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but he did sort of ruin it later. Not very much later. He. Oh
yeah, the whole thing went.
Yeah,
it stopped up. I mean, he entered in Yasuo. I mean, he just didn't even respect the Nocturne level 6. But I'm just saying, like, he killed him. He didn't stuff it up. Niski would have known the matchup. Everybody knows the matchup. So, and Niski was wanting to challenge him. He went toe to toe, and he died. So Niski gets +1 on that one. But then Niski wins the whole season. So.
I feel like Jizuke's biggest issue right now is, ever since his team started winning, and they've had these good feelings around their playoff push, I feel like he's gotten really arrogant and is just not respecting his opponents. Like, yeah, he got the solo kill in the mid lane with the Echo versus the Rumble. He probably shouldn't have tried to do that in the first place, though.
Well, he shouldn't have tried to do like nearly 90% of everything he did, because he got himself killed. But that's kind of the thing about him. Yeah,
I'm saying I mean, there's being confident, and then there's being arrogant, and I feel like that's something Jizuke is gonna have to work on if he wants to get better. Well,
they've actually put him on control. They try to put him more on control mages here and there, because there's two things. Jizuke needs to hold back, so they put him under control to fix his playstyle, and then Bang needs to be more aggressive, or he needs to be on like a long range champ, so they put him on an Ashe, Senna, or a Kaiser to try to complement that. So it's a bit of a problem with that team.
I will say one thing.
Yeah.
Is that FlyQuest have an easier edge over EG in top lane. So you're also thinking that, okay, can Solo play low econ? He also can, but if he plays low econ, he also still kind of wins for his team, because we saw TSM exerting a lot of pressure in the game 5 to really get Solo behind, but it wasn't amounting to anything. And I think if the situation is flipped and you have to put it on Kumo, it's going to be a lot harder for him. I think FlyQuest are going to face C9 in the finals.
Yeah. I don't know. Kumo is an enigma to me, because I thought for sure that this guy was just the worst top laner in the league, and granted, he's not good, not even by North American standards. I don't think he's good, but he's gotten to the point where I don't think, other than against C9, has there been a time in these playoffs where he's been like the reason EG is losing?
I mean,
well, he's consistent.
Yeah.
The reason why Evil Genius loses is because of mid jungle bot ADC or messing around. One goes one way, one goes the other.
And the other thing is, here's the thing about Bang being more aggressive. This is one of the big reasons I say Sneaky got a bad rap is Zazel is not a very good aggressive support at all.
No,
he's just not. Yeah, he's defensive, and if you want Bang to be aggressive, you're gonna have not great results because his support will just not be on the same page, and he won't feel comfortable with it.
Really weird, that one again, because Zazel is super aggressive if Svenskeren is there. So he's not aggressive with Bang, but then he's like super aggro whenever Svenskeren's around, because in the first game against C9, it was Jarvan, Rakan, Xayah, Rumble, and Renekton. That was the first one. And they just went full, like from 0 to 100 in a split second. Like, boom! Like, just there. But then the thing is, Bang was out of position, so he couldn't get his feathers properly. And then the item difference. Rumble's first item was a damn health crystal, not AP book.
Yep.
So he's actually really close to getting a few kills, like one kill on Gragas there. But just a few items here and there made the difference. So it's really, really weird. I mean, I'm just thinking about it in my head, like, I think the true favourite of this is EG, in my opinion. They're objective favourite to win, because they're more consistent. They beat them in Flight. Well, they beat them, didn't they? They beat FlyQuest, right? So they objectively are.
But that was before. But that was before they had Solo in. They were playing with Viper still.
Both teams got to practice a bit more versus different teams. But my point is that objectively speaking, Evil Genius have to be the favourites to win, but then there's a lot of time that's gone between the two teams. Like FlyQuest have gone through the loss and then the victory over TSM. That's a lot. And then now EG, they have to they have to go back and find out what they did wrong against C9 and see if they can fix the huge list of problems. So you're going to see two different teams, completely different teams, because Solo's going to be there. And I think that Evil Genius should still be the favourites, because even though I think they're quite evenly matched between both of them, and I think FlyQuest have improved greatly compared to the very first time. But there's still a lot of difficulty. It's not. I just don't think it's very straightforward, because FlyQuest, they don't have the way. They don't have the ability to play in a multi-dimensional way the same way that Evil Genius does, because Evil Genius have been successful in being a full macro team, or a split push, or a Psycho mid, or a Taliyah Pantheon, so they can mix it up. So my advice for Evil Genius would simply be play diversity and play different fields of games, and don't get stuck to one playstyle. So when you're playing, don't just do the same old thing. So find out, like, they know how Power Evil plays. Right, like Ryze went up top, split pushing, and they went and ganked Ryze, and then Power Evil is just still mid, power farming, smashing the wave mid. So they get mid tower and tier 2 tower. Yeah, they get 2 towers because Jizuke died top on Ryze. And then it's like, well, they're going to know how Power Evil plays, so they should be able to, be able to come up with some half-assed decent plan to get around Power Evil.
Right. You've actually been fairly quiet. I've talked about Power Evil a couple times tonight and sung his praises as the second best mid laner in NA, but I've noticed you've been kind of quiet about it. You want to give your thoughts on him as a player right now? I'm genuinely curious. Yeah, I'm genuinely curious because you've been kind of mums the word on it.
Power Evil, like, did he play? I'm getting confused with games. I didn't comment because I didn't have enough there. Let's have a look.
Oh, okay.
Orianna versus.
I think he played Orianna versus Victor.
Yeah.
I'll bring up the Leagueopedia playoff series.
Oh, LeBlanc versus Salas in the fourth game.
Oh shit. Okay, so my thoughts on both of them. I mean, let's see. if FlyQuest want to beat EG, they're gonna have to soak up EG's aggression because, like people said, if they're like Cloud9 2.0, which I still don't agree with, but let's just use that for the sake of argument, is that
I prefer C9 Junior.
Let's C9 Junior. Then FlyQuest, if they can absorb EG's pressure, they have a good shot at winning the series. Because if EG don't get the ball rolling like C9, then they kind of don't really do well late game or mid game, depending on the situation they're actually given. I think that FlyQuest is more willing to play on comfort to win, and then when they need to be flexible, they can, which is really good to best of 5. That's insanely strong because if you give the players their comfort first and then you're flexible, that gives them the confidence that they're like, okay, we get our comfort, we can win, and we can also win being somewhat flexible. And if we're going into the finals, so we're gonna have to preview 2 different ways. So if C9 is going to face either FlyQuest or EG, and I think C9 is going to win the finals 3-0, stomp, GG no re. But who do you guys think will give C9 the best chance at almost losing FlyQuest or EG? Like their biggest challenge.
So,
I'd have to say EG still.
You say EG?
I don't know. It's maybe.
So I'd go EG because they've had a read on C9 on what they're going to be up against, and they've already tried to beat them once, where FlyQuest haven't even played C9 in the playoffs yet. So at least one team has exposure to train against them. So they tried these strategies like Yasuo and Gragas, which were like the same strategies I was talking about that they should go with, and be more aggressive and try to like cut them off. They gave it a go and failed, not because of the strategy, but because they can't play the basics, like getting ganked on the timing from Nocturne. Like really stupid stuff prevented them from even having a game plan. So they had a game plan, they couldn't execute it, which is what like assistant coaches talk about. Like they unhappy because they haven't been able to show what they've got. They tried to show what they've got, and then they just couldn't, connect the dots. So if any team has the best chance, it would have to be the team that's recently played them, that knows how C9 plays, because you can't have a game plan to be successful against C9 if you don't even know how to combat the issues that C9 is going to throw you. Because if you take FlyQuest right now and you go play against C9 in the finals, they'll be like, wow, they play really different. I didn't expect that. It's like Evil Genius will be like, yeah, we already know that. So we made these plans.
Right. But the thing is, you even said C9. You said C9 win easy on EG, and they still destroyed them in a 32-minute game, then a 25-minute game.
Oh yeah, you're right. You see that bot lane dive game 2? That was GG at like 10 minutes in.
Yeah, it's
So the second team to beat C9.
Yeah.
In all season. So and they're the only ones in it. So who else are you going to go for? FlyQuest, who never beaten them once? Or Evil Genius, who have beaten them once, played against them 4 times? You go FlyQuest?
Thing is, I don't think just picking up. You do. It's just where I feel like we're grasping at straws here because C9 is so clearly better than both of these teams. I don't know if just necessarily winning one game because C9 was only up 4,000 gold instead of 7,000 gold like their plan was, is really a good enough reason to say that they could do it. I think I sort of feel like at least for FlyQuest
have no straws, right? Because at least with C9 versus EG, you got some straws to grasp. With FlyQuest, you got nothing, and they have no they have no competitive best of 5s experience versus C9 on how to beat them. But at least you can say EG know how C9 play. They gave it a go and failed. They can fix those areas that they failed. They took one game off them. FlyQuest have none of the 4. The only FlyQuest have is we have solo. We're playing better now. We might be able to be a good team. That's all I could come up with.
So and granted, we don't have any results with it because they only got to play them in the 2 best of 1s. They haven't got to play them in an actual series yet. So, thing is, I think FlyQuest, if they win a draft if they get a very good draft and they win the draft, say they get the set, I think they could take a game, maybe. Assuming, because I'm thinking Power of Evil, and if you give Power of Evil 3 games, I think him and Santorin are able to make something happen. They capitalize on a Blabber mistake, and they start to build a lead in the mid lane. And Power of Evil is good enough to spill that over. I feel, and
that
I
would
feel
just
like he
achieve
doesn't.
the same result as Evil Genius, though. If they can only take one game, then now they're on par with Evil Genius. So they're not being more. Like the question is, which team is more competitive? EG or FlyQuest versus C9.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to be C9. It have to be Evil Genius. Right?
C9 are like competitive against themselves.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Let's just clone all of C9 and just replace all the rest of the NA teams with nine versions of C9.
IG to LCS.
Oh,
and every game.
Oh God! Watch the region burn.
You know what? In a best of 7, I think C9 could take a game. Could take a game off of IG.
Because IG get bored.
IG get bored. Yeah. People they're joking around and they're actually serious because IG played RNG like last week or some shit. Rookie literally got 1v3 solo kills under the tower. Yeah, C9 is when the.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! You see the game though? He's 1v3 kills under the tower.
Yeah, they're absolute monsters, and the playstyle of the champions they're picking, absolutely fucking nuts. They're picking the craziest shit. They're the hardest skills, and they're still beating people. It's nuts.
My boy The Shy is having fucking streams where he's doing all ADC top streams. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
They ban The Shy as like Kalista and Lucian. And then like Aphelios or Senate, it's like everything's targeting him. It's so funny.
Oh, but
right.
God damn.
I just feel like in any sort of best of 5 series or best of 7 series, you're playing so many games that the opportunity for the better team to just fuck something up exists.
Yeah.
All the time, and the worst team is gonna be on their laurels because they're out there with something to prove. So. I think both of the teams could potentially take a game off of C9 because I think C9 is not going to feel as pressured as them. So I feel like they might be playing a little bit looser. I don't think either of the teams pick up more than a game though.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean that was basically what I was saying. I don't think either of them get more than a game, but I think they both could pick up a game because they both have good mid laners, and they could potentially use that area.
Yeah, well, so my prediction is FlyQuest versus Evil Genius. If Evil Genius show really good signs that they're not playing like crap, because FlyQuest are really, really good. They're starting to pull themselves together with solo. Like FlyQuest, I'd call FlyQuest not Cloud9 Junior. I'd call them FlyQuest pissed off solo. That's basically their team right now. He's pissed off and he's smashing everyone. So they're a really, really, really good benchmark for Evil Genius to see if they've got what it takes to challenge C9. So the FlyQuest that turns up, if they beat FlyQuest and they do a very good job of it, then they'll be fairly competitive, and could be pretty competitive, because you got so many tiny little areas. It's like the little wheels in a cog. The small little details stuff them up against C9, like the random passing, the not respecting the level 6, stupid shit like that was just ridiculous. If they could fix those areas, then the game would have been a lot different. Punishing Nocturne, who's level 1 to 5. Like, why don't you do anything, Nocturne 1 to 5? That doesn't make any sense. So, if they learn from the FlyQuest, they can go into the C9 game and they can say, this is how they beat us previously, we can be more competitive. And then hopefully, for my end result is I want C9 to play against a team. Doesn't have to be FlyQuest or Evil Genius. I want to see them play against a team that is competitive and can make good League of Legends final. That's it. And I think Evil Genius have the best chance to have a competitive finals. I think FlyQuest, if they beat Evil Genius, if FlyQuest play in the finals, they won't know what to expect. Is like they can look at it as a game, like you can study a lot of reviews. It's different when you're in it. Evil Genius were in it. So FlyQuest, in my opinion, if they go to the finals, they will be out of their depth and get stomped 3-0. And it will be a little bit too difficult for them. But the third game might be, again, the best of 5. Every third game in these best of 5s brings out the best of the weaker team. They might be able to bring a win on the third game. Same thing, Evil Genius. 2-0, Evil Genius, third game, they win. So it might bring the best out, and they might get one game over C9. But my hope is, hopefully, maybe, for the sake of the LCS, for fuck's sake, one fucking team needs to learn how to play League of Legends and compete against C9 in the next split, right? And I hope the Evil Genius can do it.
Evil Genius could do it. I feel like 100 Thieves, if either Ryoma can improve to a pretty good player, I feel like they have strengths around. They obviously probably need to improve from Meteos. Goddamn, I'm a C9 fan. I love Meteos, but he is past his prime, to say the least. Or it's more apt that he used to be good, and he's still good. He's about as good as he used to be, but everyone else has gotten better around him. So it's just his level of skill isn't really good enough anymore. So I would look from them to, if they get a better jungler, they might be able to do some stuff. As always, TL, if they can just pull their shit together, and they can get back to the level they were, or even better, they should be better with Broxa. They should be. They can just fix their communication and motivational, just like we were talking about. They could actually be the true rival to C9 in North America. And TSM needs to just blow up. They just need to start over, in my opinion.
Here's what I'll say. It's hard to be, there's two different ways you can look at it. If FlyQuest face C9, there's actually more of a chance they even get more destroyed, because they obviously haven't faced. And then you have EG, who could be more of a bigger threat because they did face C9, but it depends on which EG shows up. Do we get the EG who was playing Yasuo game 1 where these people can't land a flash knockup? Or do we get a FlyQuest who obviously fucking give over the most insane picks to their enemy teams that makes them lose? It just depends. But I think,
yeah,
I'm going to say C9 wins the trophy. I mean, there's no TL, there's no TSM. Obviously, I'm not taking away from their achievements, but I think it's C9's time to win after 6 years. These teams have good things about them. There's no disrespect to your teams. I'm glad you all improved at some things, not everything. But I think C9, whoever they face in the finals, is going to be 3-0.
Yeah, like, I don't think you're going to find anybody on this planet Earth who watches League of Legends that's going to predict against C9.
Unless you're an actual FlyQuest fan.
I'll give it a go. Here we go. I'll give it a go. Oh, here we go. Okay. If EG stomp FlyQuest, that's a big if, right? If EG somehow pick up the craziest combos like Yasuo, Gragas, Smith, and they stomp the crap out of them, then I would say that they could win. That's the only way, but they have to stomp them. They have to stomp them hard. They have to show that FlyQuest are like... They have to make FlyQuest look like a complete garbage team. That's the only way that Evil Genius will go to the finals and be able to beat them. If that doesn't happen, if it's an easy contest, no. C9's got it.
Right.
That's the only way.
We're all saying C9?
Right.
3-0, 5-3-1?
Yep. Yeah, I'm saying a 3-0. I think, because here's the thing, we were saying, EG has gotten a look at C9, and they can maybe improve on that.
Good enough.
yeah, here's the thing, it works both ways.
Yeah, that's also
C9, C9 has gotten a look at EG, and they can zone in on what
Yeah,
their
but
weaknesses
it's
are.
really weird though, because like, this is what we talk about shadowboxing. They did the same thing against 100 Thieves with Nocturne level 6, and they gank and they get a kill, and then all he does is just do the same thing and gets a kill. It's like, I don't even know if they... I don't think that C9 learnt anything from Evil Genius. That's how bad it was. Like, there's nothing for them to look back and say, we can improve on that. It's like, that was crap.
They did learn that they should account for Poppy.
Fucking God. Here's what I'll say.
That's about it.
If I see neither of those teams banning Nocturne, I'm giving up hope against these guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Right.
they're not even paying attention. They're like, alright, fuck it, we got paid a lot of money. If they're not banning Yasuo, Zoe, or what's like the best Sven champion, something that he's played really well, like Aphelios or some shit. If they aren't banning Nocturne or Zoe, I've given up hope, because they are just actually trolling at that point.
Well, you banned Zoe, you banned Nocturne, and you banned Aphelios. Okay, are you gonna give Licorice set?
I mean, he's played weak side before, so it's kind of fine. But it's just
But
like...
but if you leave set up, Cloud9 was gonna say, well, we were gonna do this, but they just gift wrapped set to us, Licorice. Go ahead and smash their faces in.
Well, do you remember what I said in the C9 Facebook group? The teams that have to beat C9 have to throw their stove at them, their kitchen sink, their house, their floor.
Right. Another thing you gotta consider about the EG matchup is the thing that I think the Nocturne pick was especially effective in that game, because in that series, because EG, we brought it up, likes to do the split push strategy, and the semi-global from Nocturne sort of just shuts that down entirely.
And Talia and Pantheon, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the champions that, in my review of it, I reviewed and said that the champions that Evil Genius have no chance to win. So if C9 get these champions, which ones will C9 always win? So if C9 gets Set and Ornn, one of them, I don't see Evil Genius beating them. And then the other ones would be Callista or Lucian. Because if they get Callista or Lucian, they can flex it top mid bot. So for me, like, it was crazy because C9 banned out Set and Callista. Well, I mean, how nice is that? You know, just ban nothing, and you would like make it impossible for EG. So it's really tough. I mean, I don't know.
Was C9 trying to put weighted clothing on, as it were, in the playoffs to try to get better?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was saying that C9 were going easy on them because they were banning. The draft was so nice. They literally said to Evil Genius, we're going to play nice with you and we'll play even. You play this, we'll play that. Nice, even matchups, fairly decent, and we'll just kick your ass. They did it 2 games. They went easy on them in the draft.
And then, game 3, they were actually winning and threw it themselves to give them that win. They were legitimately winning.
Yeah, well, the issue is, who was their support that game? The problem was they just didn't have a front line to actually team fight when it came time to get the soul. And I think that game they also gave up a dragon. Didn't they?
I think so.
They lost 3. Yeah, they lost all control as soon as it got to like 18 minutes ish. When it came to the first big team fight, they lost all control whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, that was also a mistake they made, because I'm pretty sure C9 got the first Drake, but I'm pretty sure they surrendered the second Drake because they were doing something else in another part of the map. And with that comp, you sort of have to get all of the Drakes. You have to hit Dragon Soul, or you lose.
Yeah, you want to get 4 dragons as fast as possible so that you don't get destroyed in the late game.
But we're pretty much all in agreement that C9 is the winner of the spring split, right?
Yep.
Unless somehow Evil Genius stomps the crap out of FlyQuest, we might have an upset.
What if FlyQuest curb stomps EG?
And then curb stomps C9. What if FlyQuest win the split? Then I'm literally hanging myself the next day.
If that happens,
oh fuck.
I'm gonna predict that all of Cloud9 have coronavirus.
Oh fuck.
And they literally could not breathe.
I'm convinced Reaper chopped off their hands if FlyQuest win the trophy. If FlyQuest win the trophy, I have no hope for the LCS. Like, What kind of shit region are we? We live at FlyQuest, Wayne. I'm not being a dick to FlyQuest fans. I have a few FlyQuest fans in my subscribers, but I'm just being honest. If FlyQuest win this fight, I am going outside and I'm jumping off a mountain at full speed.
Listen. If C9 lose this finals, I will be 100% convinced that the C9 gaming house is built on top of an Indian burial ground.
Oh, God.
Can I bring up one more question before we close out?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Right. Well, you did ask about Power of Evil. So, real quick, Power of Evil. I thought that he played a really good macro game, but I think he is the control focus point for FlyQuest. So I can't actually think of other mid laners which I could pick over him. Because Nisqy's not in it. Yeah, Nisqy, Power of Evil. You got other mid laners that I've scouted, and they look pretty good here and there. But yeah, he's pretty good. But you want to see a bit of an explosiveness from your mid laners as well, here and there. Like, one-dimension macro is one thing, but instead of playing going apeshit every so often when your team needs it. That's why the top teams in the world, every single player in that top team, they can flick a switch and carry the team. Or 4 people can die, but that one person alive kills the rest of them. And you want that characteristic on every team. But, sorry, your question?
So, we're down to 5 MVP candidates at this point. I believe it's Blabber, Sven, Nisqy, Someday, and PoE.
Oh, he's talking about. Okay, yeah. So, who's gonna be your spring MVP?
Who of those 5? Who do you got for your MVP?
Do we have to count C9 players that are left?
I mean, there's 3 of them.
Okay, so we'll take it 2 ways. If we're not choosing a C9 player, then I'm gonna choose Someday. I'm just trolling, guys. I know what's left. Shit, honestly. I'm still saying Nisqy. Like, just the way he enables the team and the way he gets them to just be a lot more better, the way he moves them around the map to what he wants to do, I think that's just such an MVP quality thing. Like, I get Sven has had an amazing split. I'm so glad he bounced back. Sneaky, blah, blah, blah. No. Sven's had a great split. Blabber has played great. But I believe without Nisqy, none of this would have really been possible. Also, without the sniper dude from the army. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think Blabber, if there was a most improved award, it would go to Blabber.
I would agree.
I do think, if I'm saying who do I think is going to get it, I think it's also going to be Blabber. My MVP, though, is Sven, because he's just... It's as far as 80k, all the other positions, we were able to list off players who are good and can hold their own against C9's players, except Sven. There is no other 80 carry in the league, and even though I said I thought 80 carry was the least important position, when it's such a discrepancy in the level of skill, it's just almost impossible to deal with. In my opinion.
Why is she so hot? But
so
who?
Oh god, is Kelsey? Rimmage. Oh my god.
And
what a baby.
Yeah, and Ortega. How do you see it?
I'm sorry guys. I was just looking at Twitch girls. I'm sorry.
So it's a real tough one because Nisqy holds a lot of control for C9. So there's so many areas where you can pick out his effectiveness in lane. Also, there's a big mention to Licorice because of his variation on champ pool and his constant pressure. Even when he's losing, he still holds his own and gets really good vision for this whole team. So there's a lot of really good things to say about Licorice. Sunday, he was looking like a really, really solid rock for his whole team, but then he was a bit on and off in the 100 Thieves versus TSM. Like he didn't really bring the same power that he had in previous. Like it was one of his most inconsistent, which really sucked because it was literally like 100 Thieves were a bit of a mess, and then Sunday comes in to save the day. But in this one, it was like 100 Thieves looked a little bit better as a synergy, and then he was a bit on and off. So it sucks to not be able to give it to him as easily. I think most improved, I would like to give that to Sven, because his...
Yeah, I agree.
Sven's really... like TSM, like N-Team Hardcore, when he could have done so much better. I think he has had a massive attitude improvement. He's really understood how the game is much higher, the ceiling is. So I got a lot more favoured viewpoint of Sven after his humble training through C9 to become better. So I think that's really good for him. But MVP, it's really tough. I'd have to say either Nisqy or Licorice. Only saying Licorice because it's probably underrated or it's overlooked just how much top laner does. But for a mid laner is always kicking ass. You know, like Nisqy is always doing such a good job in mid lane. So many things to talk about Nisqy, but I think Licorice might be overlooked a little bit just because of what he's been doing recently.
I mean, he's been asked to play weak side this whole year, pretty much, and he's still beating opposing top laners when he has the weak side pick. He has the just survive pick.
Yeah, and even when he gets his ass kicked, he still gets vision at the right time. He's like, "Hey guys, I just got ganked, but here's your vision. Get your herald. All good."
Yeah. Here's your vision. Yeah, I'm behind on this Aatrox, but you know what? I pulled off this really, really good flank, and I'm still useful in this team fight. There's games where he got to play Kalista, and he absolutely dumpstered his lane. So it's not like we haven't seen the carry performances out of him, because we have. And yeah, I agree. We talked about at the beginning of the podcast, Licorice, as far as the MVP finalist, I felt was snubbed.
He also went Quinn into Renekton as well, which I guess maybe is an easy match, but still. Sorry?
I said, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is an easy match, but I mean, you can't knock that against him.
You can stuff it up though. Like the Shy had Quinn versus Renekton, it's not straightforward. You got to like make sure you don't stuff up because you can get your ass kicked. Like the Shy, he went early in the early game. Well, he went ahead in the early game, then he got destroyed in mid to late versus FPX in the finals. But just shows good like
map awareness.
Someone you can rely on, you know.
All right.
Yeah.
So
he's the Rock.
The last few things I want to say before we close out is: do you guys watch like LEC? Are you guys watching like LEC kind of finals week 2?
When I can. I'm working 12 to 14 hours a day right now.
Well, stop it and watch League. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm a landscaper, and it's spring, so I am incredibly busy at the moment.
All right. So well,
yeah, I watch I've kept up with most of the games in the playoffs.
So when the LCS is over, we're gonna have to find to cover other continents in League that are much more better and much more, finer ways of playing than our lovely LCS. So we can choose between the LPL, the LCK. I mean, I watch them all, so it doesn't matter to me. We are never covering OPL. I'll never happen here. I had to watch. God. Thank God, I had to watch the Chiefs play last night. Holy crap. We have LEC, LPL, and LCK. Now we can cover both. It's just that we're gonna have to watch them and then cover them at a different rate because obviously they play a lot of games. So that'll be our avenues for after the LCS is over because the LCK will be in their playoffs and LPL will be in their playoffs.
So are you asking what for opinions of what we should watch? Because
it's up to you guys. I don't care.
I would like to watch the LPL because
the LCK boards
it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I love the LCK.
I mean, they're very good players, but man, I cannot watch people trade farm for 20 minutes.
Bro, I've watched games where it's been 30-minute first bloods. All right, okay, I am passing out. You guys are done to me. You guys are dead to me in the water.
Yeah, and that was T1 as well.
Right,
yeah.
right. They have Faker and Teddy. How are you having 30-minute first bloods? Like, what the hell's going on here?
That's the way the LCK has always played. Like, what do you mean? Like, they've always been a sit back, farm up, and out macro. Freezing lanes. type region. This is the way it's always been. I happen to think that play style has been, it's outdated, going out of favor. I'm not saying you can't win with it. It's just not the ideal, or it's not the optimal play style, in my opinion,
It's
anymore.
proven now. 2 years running, can't make finals. Can't even get to the finals. 2 years in a row.
So you guys would rather cover the LPL first before the LCK? Okay. So
Yeah, the LCK would be my third choice.
Okay.
I'd rather
so
it would be
So it's OPL first. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, it's China, then Europe, then the LCK. I'm sorry, LS, but your region's boring.
Hey, even LS knows it's boring. He talks about Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z all the time.
Right?
Oh, dude.
He's like saying to the caster, "Hey, back to you." Oh well, that happened. Back to you. Yeah. Well, back to you.
And Dragon Ball Z, this episode still got a power up. Like,
I will say though, he does come up with great names for things, like what he calls the Orn items. He calls them ornaments, and that should just be the name in game. They should change the text on Orn's abilities, on his passive, just having item upgrades to just be ornaments, because that's just the best. And they need to come out with a Christmas tree Orn.
but this is what I'll say to close it out: is people who are gonna be on the podcast. I'll even pin it. Ravioli, can you please pin a comment or something later on?
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I?
Or I'll give you the permission to do it. I'll just make you like an admin, or you two an admin, since you guys have always been here.
Okay.
Shit like that. But I want people to know this so they can stop asking me, because you guys don't. I'm not saying you guys. I'm not saying people who have been here. The podcasts are Tuesdays every week, unless someone else asks me to schedule a different episode, like on Thursday or Friday or some shit. If you want to just talk to me, we have like an hour video. I've had that with you two. Remember, we've just had a solo episode, kind of just by ourselves. But outside of that, the podcasts are Tuesdays, 6 or 6:30 Pacific Central Time. If you cannot make it, then please tell me. But just stop asking me. People have done it. It's, when the podcast is. You don't have to make small talk with me. You know me already. You literally know me. Like, why are you making random small talk for no reason whatsoever? Just please listen to me. I don't like being asked the same thing 80,000 times. You guys know when the podcast is. If you're gonna show up, then show up. If not, other people will. And you guys have proven that you are. So you guys will be moderators. And please pin what I just said. Also, if you're gonna be on the podcast after this week, you're gonna have to watch the LPL, the LEC, or the LCK, because the LCS is gonna be over. So we're gonna have to talk about something, and the show must go on.
Right.
And
Well, do you want us to start this week, or are we gonna mostly be going over Cloud9's victory?
This week we'll kind of play around with it. Just tell me what you watched, and then we'll go over it. That's fine. But at least we get to start on the right foot. You know what I mean? Like,
all right. Well,
yeah.
So in that case, I'm gonna watch the LEC playoffs then, because that's the most exciting thing going on. So we can always pivot. We can see whatever's the most exciting matches in whatever region, and then just decide to cover those.
Because I know I have a lot of LPL viewers. They're like, "You guys watch the LPL?" Yeah, I watch everything. Because the reason why I watch everything is because you get a better gist of what everyone's doing. You know how people always say, "Oh, I only watch LCS." Well, I feel bad for you. I feel humbly bad for you.
Listen. The LCS might, leave a little to be desired, but it is entertaining.
I'll give it that. I will say that. But
it is entertaining.
But people who are listening to this part, please listen to me. Stop asking me in the podcast. It's been the same every single Tuesday that it's been since we changed it. You don't have to make small talk with me just randomly, please. Just, you know what it is. And also, yeah, it's been fun having you guys here. Also, guys, this is not Reddit. We're not going to flame each other. Obviously, we're honest with our opinions. We're going to talk shit if we want to, but it's all fun and dandy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't have to agree with Ortega or Ravioli for me to respect their opinion. And honestly, having you two here, man, I'd be saying some heinous shit like FlyQuest is the best team in the world. But I'm glad I have you guys here, honestly. Is there anything you guys want to say before we close out?
That's pretty good.
Per public service announcement, I've seen this way too much on Facebook and Twitter recently, but people are equating the flattened curve Like, how we started quarantining people and shutting down businesses in order to flatten the curve so people wouldn't go to the hospital, wouldn't start dying en masse.
Okay.
And because that's worked, people are now asserting that this was never a big deal. And I need those people to go read a book. That is my public service announcement.
Also, the last thing I'll say is there was a C9 guy in the podcast group. Not podcast group, not this one. What the fuck am I saying? The C9 Facebook group where someone said that they liked my podcast, but then he replied, he was like, all they do is just recite what the analysts say. All right, nice troll, but you didn't watch anything. I know you're trolling. That's ha ha ha, very funny. You got me. We do not regurgitate what analysts say because we're not stupid and we can think for ourselves. I
literally today when I got off of work, I brought up some of the games again, and I literally just started jotting down notes. I looked at your topics, and I just started jotting down notes.
Yeah, he didn't watch any games.
That's what I did.
He told me right as he was doing it. He didn't watch any games. I'm just saying that we can think.
Well, I watched the games.
No, I know.
I'm saying I didn't watch the analysts.
No, yeah, it's just people always say we always regurgitate what analysts say. Have you heard Otego talk in the last 2 hours? Did he regurgitate anything an analyst said? Otego?
Does it?
No, I have them muted when I watch games. I just watch the game because they annoy me too much.
Yeah. I mean, for God's sake, does any analyst talk about Sneaky nearly as much as I do?
that is true. He can have that crown here. If he's here, he's the Sneaky man. But
I just think he can help somebody. Sneaky is that, the SPCA videos, of the animals abandoned from their owners in cages. That's Sneaky right now.
Also, there was
someone adopt Sneaky, please.
There was that one guy. I was watching a live stream while I was doing a podcast. He said Man of Steel and BVS are the best superhero movies in the last decade. I was like, okay, you're drunk. You need help. You need physical therapy, mental therapy too. Go watch better movies. I am never listening to your reviews ever again. BVS best superhero movie. Are you high?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Right.
One more call out. This probably isn't a hot take, but some people are going to be mad about it because they're wrong. Lord of the Rings trilogy is the greatest movie trilogy of all time. Don't at me.
Second to the Dark Knight trilogy.
Dude, you're not even close.
Otego,
Lord of the Rings are the best.
Otego, do you have any hot takes? Anything you want to say before we leave?
No, I've probably said the most controversial thing that I have, which is if Evil Genius can stomp FlyQuest really badly, then my prediction is that Evil Genius have a chance to be the underdogs and win. That's probably the craziest thing I can come up with.
All right.
You know what? Here's the thing. You're making a smart bet because nobody else is making that bet, so the payout is immense. But
I know I did also pick for Team Liquid to beat IG as well in MSI, so I've had a lot of underdog picks.
Hey, what did I say? If you guys are watching way back when MSI started, I said G2 was going to 2-0 SKT in the group stage. First day it happened. I even said they were going to win the best of 5. People were like, no, you're not. You're a G2 fanboy. Yeah, sure I am. That's why you lost. Yeah. And then I said if G2 beat T1, then they can easily beat TL. It's just a counterplay style. You guys are getting fucked in your ass. They're like, why don't you root for TL? You're from North America. I don't care for TL. I could give two shits about what they're doing. Oh, I'm glad they beat IG. Okay, good for them. Yeah, G2's better. Yeah, hand G2 the trophy. It's exactly what happened. So anybody that said I was a fanboy or a hater, well, I was proven right. That's that's just how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I had to get that off my chest because people said we were regurgitating what analysts said. I was like, you have never watched then. You have legitimately never watched then.
Well, here's the thing. We're talking about the games, and the players played the same on my screen as they did on your screen. So, yeah, I'm going to have an opinion. And how many league analyst shows are there? There's the actual stream. Then there's Jats, then there's Hotline League, then there's I Will Dominates, then there's Face Check. There's just a bunch of them. Of course, we're gonna have opinions that overlap with some of them. It's just unavoidable.
Yeah, because people think that one person said it, so that means they can only say it. Get the fuck out of here. There's a good chance that me and you, Ravioli, think the exact same. There's a good chance. Because you know why? because that's just how human nature thinks. That's just literally how that works. Me and Otego might think that Australian chicks are ugly. I might think it too.
Whoa.
But
Whoa.
it's definitely not true. Australian chicks are hot as fuck. Dude, why do you have that many hot women in your country? And I'm not there.
Because we're all convicts.
Also, it's to offset the incredibly deadly wildlife of his country. Like, why would you live there? Why would you live there with spiders the size of trash cans if the women weren't attractive?
It actually rains spiders there too. I'm like, how do you guys? I don't know how you guys deal with that. Bro, that's hard as hell to deal with. It rains spiders. Yeah, those insects that people get poisoned by. Yeah, those.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
You know what's funny is people from Africa who immigrated over here, they come up to me and say, "Oh, fuck, it's hot." I say, "You're from Africa? You think it's hot here?"
I got a question. Have you ever encountered a spider in your house that had a mana bar?
What the fuck?
A what? Mana bar?
A mana bar.
He's talking about
like you're playing an RPG, right? And then there's an animal, right? But then there's an advanced form of the animal that has a mana bar and casts spells and has abilities. Have you ever encountered a spider that had a mana bar?
No, but there's these huge huntsman spiders that crawl into your house, size of your hand. They love to stick on the wall or go into your shower and freak you out. So yeah.
Do you carry a bat around with you? Because I definitely would. Because the thing is, for something like that, I've seen huntsman spiders before, like in pictures. I'd be afraid, like if I took my shoe and tried to kill it, I'd be afraid that it would just shrug it off and then clap back at me.
Bro, he's not lying, man. Dude, I seen a Discovery Channel episode where this lady did that in Australia with a broom to try to hit a spider. It jumped at her and bit her in the neck. Oh, what?
Oh dear.
Yeah, like these aren't the average spiders us Americans go squish them and they're just dead. He has spiders that have brains. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
one time I was in my car, right, and as I got out, opened the door. So I finished the journey, right? Opened the door, and as I opened the car door, right, where the speaker is on your car door, a huge fucking huntsman spider sitting there the whole time, right beside my leg.
Oh my god.
So that kind of freaks you out.
They're not poisonous, are they? They're just incredibly big.
They're just big and freak you out. The Australians are all like, don't worry about it. Like, it kills all the bugs in your house. And I was like, yeah, but you fucking shit your pants when you walk along around the corner.
Right.
What the fuck is that?
What I'd actually be concerned about Australia is I would actually never swim in the waters around Australia because the box jellyfish will actually kill you.
I'm more scared of great white sharks eating my ass.
No, you'll see a great white fucking coming. Usually. You know what you don't see? An incredibly small jellyfish that when it stings you, you fucking die within minutes.
Yeah, they're really bad.
Can I cry?
Yeah. Do you swim in the ocean? Or do you live in Sydney or around Sydney?
Yeah, beaches are pretty good. They're fun. But there's shit of sharks because people don't want to kill them off. So they've been everywhere. Heaps of no-go zones, heaps of sightings. So the whole big fiasco. We can't even go in the water anymore because of all these damn sharks.
Can I ask a question?
Maybe invest into trying to have killer whales migrate there. I don't know.
I wish.
Shark repellent, like in the Batman Adam West series. I'm just kidding. That's not gonna work.
Oh, by the way, explain yourself. Platypuses. Why do you guys have a mammal that's that lays eggs, and B, looks like a stupid duck that's poisonous?
Oh my god. I was wondering.
Yeah, it is pretty weird. Very confused mammal. That's all I can say. Very confused.
I want to ask one thing before we go.
You have nothing to say for yourself or your country. Okay.
It's blind as well. I'm pretty sure.
Wait, it's blind?
It's blind? Shit,
wait, it's like little sensors. Yeah, it's Bill. Yeah, it's like, what is it like? Sort of like it senses like electrical pulses or something in the water.
Well, the good thing is, not actually from New Zealand. Not from Australia, I'm from New Zealand. I'm just living here.
Oh,
So that's the funny
okay.
scapegoat.
Okay. Well, the last thing.
Oh,
I'll say-
okay.
the last
Oh, so you're obviously on my side about the Lord of the Rings, the best trilogy of all time.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The last thing
Oh,
I'm
okay.
gonna say.
A man of culture.
The last thing I'll say is, before we actually go, this is the last question we're gonna end recording. Do you guys actually have a lot of shark attacks? Just in, you know,
Yeah, fairly often.
fairly often. Fairly often.
Like every so often on like I don't know, fairly I mean, there've been so many shark attacks that have been like banning people from going out to the beach in certain times because the sharks have been roaming around so much. They're in helicopters that spot them, using like shark traps to try and lure them because there's so many attacks. Like they've got this guy died because the ambulance couldn't find out where the hell he was because the beach was so huge. So they got all these things that have happened because people keep on getting attacked by sharks. So yeah, fairly often.
You guys maybe try to invest in more netting, I guess.
The greenies don't like it. Anything you do to try and protect humans from sharks because you want to go for a swim, the greenies will call you like a sexist, racist, or something ridiculous. So you can't do
Greenies?
anything.
What are greenies?
Greenpeace, you know, Greenco. That's a political
right.
party. So they're
Oh
called-
no, I know what they're called. They're like the more I guess
They're
the
like a
less
plague.
extreme. They're like
Like
PETA,
coronavirus.
but like
Yeah, like that.
oh god. You know what? That's racist. That's sexist to keep the sharks out of the beach.
Alright,
Yeah,
hold
that's
on,
right.
hold on, guys. 1 second. I'll tell my girlfriend something. I'm gonna be with you in just a moment. Okay. But yeah, this has been great. The Dark Knight trilogy is the best trilogy of all time. Don't at me.
Factually incorrect.
See you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of
See
all,
ya.
enjoy. You guys better be subscribed, or I'm gonna beat you both up. And I'll see you guys
All
later.
right.
Goodbye. Have a
See
good
ya.
day. Peace. I'm gonna go have sex with my wife.
See you guys.
Take a